Chapter 224. The tutoring session became more and more ambiguous as time went on. Because she was in the dark, Liao Wushuang seemed to have forgotten that she was only wrapped in a bath towel, probably because she was used to dressing like this at home. Liao Wushuang was very serious about the questions and didn't realize how much she exposed herself. Li Fan also strongly dispelled those unhealthy thoughts in his mind, so that he could keep his mind clear and concentrate on his studies. Liao Wushuang's way of teaching was completely different from Lin Yueqi. Lin Yuethan taught him more like how to deal with exams. But Liao Wushuang made him take the initiative to be interested in studying, so that the learning effect would be better. Li Fan followed Liao Wushuang to do the questions for a long time, but there was no response. He looked at his phone and found it was already midnight. "Teacher Liao, it's already midnight, I really should go home." Although he didn't know if Murong-ing was waiting for him at home, as a husband he should go home at night. "Okay. Then you can go back." Liao Wushuang seemed a little scared, but she was too embarrassed to say it, so she could only let Li Fan leave. "Goodbye, Teacher Liao." When Li Fan was about to leave, the window suddenly lit up like daytime, reflecting Liao Wushuang's beautiful figure. This beautiful scene only lasted for a moment. A second or two later, a loud thunder pierced the eardrum and exploded. Liao Wushuang screamed in fright and directly hugged Li Fan, her body still trembling. Li Fan was stunned. This Teacher Liao is not only afraid of the dark but also thunder? I'm sorry. Liao Wushuang seemed to be aware of her gaffe. She blushed and took 2 steps back, seemingly a little embarrassed. I was a little lost. No, thunder is very scary. Li Fan quickly changed the topic. "I heard thunder is God's anger, using thunder to punish humans." Don't say it. Can you wait? Wait until the thunder is not. It's not too late to leave. Liao Wushuang seemed to be really scared, so she begged Li Fan. "All right then." His teacher had already begged him so much, and it would be a little unreasonable for him to refuse. Sigh, he was just that kind. "But it's already so late. I don't really feel like studying anymore." Li Fan really couldn't learn anymore, and Liao Wushuang didn't force him. "It's okay. At this time, your brain will indeed be a little muddled. Even if he learned it, the effect would be greatly reduced. Then let's take a break." Li Fan's expression was a little dull, and Liao Wushuang hurriedly explained, It's just a simple rest, nothing else." I'm not thinking about anything else." "Teacher, what are you thinking about?" Li Fan asked. I'm fine." "Then let's rest," Liao Wushuang said, "but there's only one bed in the house. You can sleep on the bed and I'll sleep on the sofa." Because it was a beautiful bachelor pad, there was only one room. The kitchen and bathroom were semi-open, and the bedroom was next to the window, where there was a beautiful round bed. The sofa was in the living room, and the candlelight next to it was faintly lit, making this originally clean apartment look even more strange. "That's not good. Teacher is a girl. How can you let a girl sleep on the sofa?" "I'm a teacher, so naturally, I should take care of my students." Liao Wushuang said, "How can I let my students sleep on the sofa? This is against a teacher's principle. Letting a girl sleep on the sofa is against a man's principle." Li Fan repeatedly emphasized, "Teacher Liao, if you don't agree, I'll leave." "I don't." Liao Wushuang hurriedly agreed, "Then teacher can sleep on the bed." "That's right. Teacher, you should rest now. I also have to sleep early. I still have an exam tomorrow." "It's time to rest." Liao Wushuang looked at Li Fan's phone, and it was indeed late. The two of them were a bit embarrassed. Liao Wushuang lay on the bed and covered herself with the quilt. She quietly took off her towel and put it on the side of the bed. "What the? This female teacher likes to sleep naked." Li Fan said, "This is really the same hobby. I also like to sleep naked. Sleeping naked is good for my health. But if Liao Wushuang can strip naked, then it's a bit inconvenient for me. I can't just strip naked in a girl's house. That's a bit inconvenient for me." Li Fan felt that he should have the integrity of a gentleman. I'm so great. I've sacrificed so much, it's really worth praising." Li Fan secretly admired himself. At this time, lightning and thunder began to rumble outside, as if a storm was coming. Li Fan. Are you still awake? Liao Wushuang, lying on the bed, feeling the lightning and thunder, felt a bit scared and subconsciously asked. I'm awake, teacher. Sleeping with such a beautiful woman in the same room, it's impossible to fall asleep easily. Li Fan answered, which made Liao Wushuang feel a bit relieved. Li Fan. Tell me a story. Taking advantage of such a violent rainy night, Liao Wushuang couldn't care less about some things in order to boost her courage. When I was young, on a thunderous and rainy night, my mother would always tell me a story. If he could see Liao Wushuang's face, he would definitely find that her face was very red. Li Fan naturally couldn't see her face, but he could catch the moonlight and see her beautiful figure covered by the quilt. Liao Wushuang's quilt wasn't very thick, and it was only a thin layer. Covering her body, it didn't have any concealment effect. Instead, it made her figure more visible. The feeling of committing a crime was really getting stronger and stronger, and Li Fan felt that some force was about to awaken. So, tell me a story. I know a few stories. Which one do you want to hear, teacher? Li Fan listed a few options. For example, an embroidered shoe, a hand under the bed, and a back-to-back is really comfortable. Wait a minute. Liao Wushuang almost peed her pants in fright. It was the middle of the night, and there was a water and electricity outage, so she didn't dare to pee. I refuse to listen to these stories. Sometimes, people have to be brave enough to challenge themselves, teacher. Li Fan chuckled. Liao Wushuang was silent for a moment before asking Li Fan. Li Fan, you look quite handsome. I know a few handsome gay guys abroad. Do you want me to introduce them to you? Teacher, my sexual orientation is very normal. People have to be brave enough to challenge themselves, classmate Li Fan. Liao Wushuang's exact words left Li Fan speechless. Chapter 225. Liao Wushuang's eloquence is very high. Basically, she can make people speechless in just 3 sentences. Li Fan originally wanted to tease Liao Wushuang, but he didn't expect to be teased instead. Failure, what a failure, I've made men lose face. After reading so many online novels, the male protagonists in those novels can have a war of words with a group of girls and make them wet with just his mouth. Looking at me, I'm so lame, really lame. Could it be that there's no such man in reality? If only there's a man who can teach me. A man's charm is not only based on his martial arts, but also his eloquence. Sweet talk is also a kind of weapon. Li Fan has always believed in it. It seems like I need to put more effort in this aspect. Can't you tell me a story that's not scary? After another lightning bolt, Liao Wushuang broke the silence again. I have a story about wuxia. Teacher, do you want to hear it? Li Fan pondered for a moment and then asked. Okay, go ahead. I also like to read wuxia novels. Liao Wushuang didn't object. Once upon a time, there was a high school student. He was always ordinary and was bullied. High school student? Shouldn't wuxia novels take place in ancient times? Liao Wushuang interrupted Li Fan. No, it's in modern times. Li Fan said, after all, it's a story. Teacher, do you still want to hear it? It sounds interesting. Well, this high school student, because of an accident, stepped on the road of martial arts. From then on, he was no longer an ordinary high school student. He had power and wanted to find an extraordinary life. He defeated many strong enemies and won some fame and money. But because of this, he also provoked some enemies. Some in the dark, some in the light, all wanted to kill this high school student. Choosing power is also accompanied by danger. Teacher Liao, do you think this high school student's choice was right? Is this a story of your own imagination? Liao Wushuang said very seriously, it's understandable. At your age, having some unrealistic fantasies is also understandable. After all, at your age, you crave power and desire to be different from the masses. Isn't it just a story? Teacher, you won't be able to tell a story like this. Of course, the story is quite nice, but I just want to tell you that a story is just a story. Don't take it seriously. You have to be brave enough to walk out of your fantasies and face reality. Then why are you still afraid of thunder? Li Fan secretly waved his fist. Well done, he had finally recovered. This is what a man should be like. I suddenly realized that you're not an honest child either, Liao Wushuang muttered. The last time I met Wang Chong, he told me that you're a hooligan student and told me not to get too close to you. I'm being wronged. Teacher, I'm an honest student. That Wang Chong is the real hooligan. He always uses his family's money to bully others in school. Take me for example. I have no power and no background. I don't know how many times he has bullied me. I told the school, but the school was afraid of his family's power and never cared. Li Fan continued. Once, Wang Chong and Hua Dehong, two students, took the lead and bullied a boy. Not only did they often beat him, they even made him take off his pants and took a video. In the end, the boy became schizophrenic. There's such a thing? Liao Wushuang was shocked. She never thought that such a thing would happen in this school. I'm not lying to you, Teacher Liao. Li Fan still remembered this incident. At that time, it caused quite a stir in the school, but it was quickly calmed down. That student had schizophrenia and had to drop out of school. As for Hua Dehong and Wang Chong, they only had to pay 20,000 yuan. Then, they each wrote a self-reflection letter and were fine. How is this possible? It's obviously a school. Why is it so dark? It's because of school violence that it's not easy to solve. Li Fan sighed. Especially when it involves some students with family backgrounds, it's even more difficult to solve. Once school violence happens, everyone will say that it's just a fight between children. Why do you have to make it so big? Then the matter will slowly go away, and the perpetrator of school violence will never be punished. School violence is simply a paradise for thugs. Although I like China, I have to say, this is a deep-rooted bad habit of the Chinese. Liao Wushuang sighed deeply. Everyone has always had problems with the education of children. I think the first thing to strengthen the education of children is moral education, not exam-oriented education. It would be good if Teacher Liao was the director of education. You're too naive. This is not something that can be decided by a director of education, but by millions of families, hundreds of millions of parents. This is a deep-rooted problem in our hearts in this era. Liao Wushuang said, but if there really is a high school student like you said, he will be willing to stand up for these students. But he's only one person. A person's strength can do as much as he can. Liao Wushuang started her philosophical mode again. If everyone is willing to do this, then the world will naturally be beautiful. Teacher Liao is also an idealist. Li Fan couldn't help but say, it's good to be an idealist. With a firm belief every day, you won't have to worry about so many things. Everyone is an idealist. Liao Wushuang said, as long as the world is not ideal enough. Thank you for your lesson, Teacher Liao. I learned a lot from you. You're really a good teacher and helpful friend. Li Fan said. It's good that I can help you. Liao Wushuang said in her heart, finally, I'm a little sleepy. But at this time, thunder and lightning sounded again, and this time the thunder and lightning was even louder, as if to tear the sky into two halves. Liao Wushuang shivered in the bed. How could there be such a big thunder? But Li Fan didn't care about this thunder. Anyway, he didn't do anything wrong, so he's not afraid of thunder at night. Not knowing how much time had passed, Li Fan felt sleepy. He closed his eyes and waited for the arrival of sleep. Sigh, if I can sleep with a girl in my arms. Even if it's Teacher Liao. With her figure. It must be very comfortable to sleep with her in my arms. Thinking of this, Li Fan subconsciously used his hand to pinch. As a result, a soft ball of something was held in his hand, followed by a moan. What the hell? Li Fan opened his eyes and found that Teacher Liao had unknowingly slipped to his sofa, curled up into a ball, and actually fell asleep. Damn, is this woman's zodiac a cat? There's actually someone who can silently come to my side without being noticed. Chapter 226. Perhaps because he was too tired, Li Fan glanced at Liao Wushuang, who had already fallen asleep in his arms. He didn't know whether he should kick Liao Wushuang down or just silently accept her. Forget it, Teacher Liao had been worried for half a day. Now that she had finally fallen asleep, it was somewhat unbearable for him to kick her down. Li Fan, Li Fan, you are good in every aspect, but you are too kind. Li Fan felt deep admiration for his own kindness. At the same time, he also felt sleepy and slowly entered into a dream. Li Fan had a dream. In the dream, he discovered that he had become an emperor. He sat on the dragon throne and looked at the ministers below him. Below him stood 2 rows of civil and military generals. Bai Lin Luo was the Grand State Preceptor and Guan Wenbao was the Grand General. Yan Kai was the head of the Imperial Palace. He held a horsetail whisk in his hand and stood not far away from him. Huang Lei didn't know what official position he held. He held a white jade in his hand and stood below. His eyes kept glancing at the palace made beside him. Your Majesty, why are you still in court? Everyone is waiting anxiously. Lu Xinan unexpectedly appeared in his dream. She was wearing the clothes of an imperial concubine. She walked to his side and pulled his hand to sit in her embrace. Audacious! Is this a place for you to be presumptuous? Murong Ying also appeared. She was wearing the clothes of an empress and had an arrogant look on her face. Just an insignificant imperial concubine. Quickly retreat. So, what if I'm an imperial concubine? His Majesty dotes on me. You, an empress who has fallen out of favor, don't appear here. Otherwise, you will be laughed at by the ministers. Lu Xinan's words were still so hidden and piercing straight to the heart. Li Fan said that if he was Murong Ying, the temple would definitely explode. Sure enough, with Murong Ying's temper, how could she endure this? She tenderly scolded. Audacious! Come, drag this woman out and behead her bewitching words. Don't, Your Highness. Lin Yingnan is also wearing the clothes of an imperial consort and walks out from the back, blocking those guards. Although Consort Xen has a bad mouth, her heart is still good. After all, she's our sister. Your Highness, please spare her this once. Unforgivable. Murong Ai was also wearing the clothes of a concubine. She poked her head out from behind Murong Ying. Concubine Xen is especially bad. He's always bullying me. Sister, you have to help me. I won't let anyone bully us sisters. Murong Ying said, whoever bullies us sisters will have to pay the price. Everyone calm down. At some point, Liao Wushuang was also standing here, trying to persuade these women. We're a family, and we should help each other in times of need. Why are you quarreling? Fuck, why did this woman appear? She was his teacher. She shouldn't have appeared in his dreams. Furthermore, she appeared in the image of an imperial concubine. Stop quarreling. It seems like His Majesty's favorite imperial concubine has arrived. Heavens, I'm so envious of her. A group of imperial concubines and the empress looked at the back with envy and jealousy. Li Fan also couldn't help but turn his head. His favorite imperial concubine. In this group of beauties, how beautiful is she? Your Majesty, Renjia missed you to death. Your Majesty. Tai Zhu is wearing the clothes of an imperial concubine. She twisted her thick waist and acted coquettishly towards Li Fan. Oh my God! Li Fan suddenly opened his eyes and found himself lying on a comfortable sofa. The surrounding scene was a little strange, but also a little familiar. He remembered that he was in Liao Wushuang's house. You're awake? Liao Wushuang is standing at the side. She is wearing a white shirt and black trousers. Her hair is tied into a beautiful ponytail. She looks very elegant and elegant. She tilts her head and looks at Li Fan. Did you sleep well? Very well. Li Fan rolled his eyes and then said, I'm a person who is very particular about my bed. Usually, if I don't sleep in my own bed, I can't sleep well. But today, I slept exceptionally well. But Liao Wushuang is somewhat curious. Because, although I'm a boy, I have the same problem as a girl. That is, I like to hug something to sleep. Otherwise, I won't feel safe. Hearing Li Fan's words, Liao Wushuang's face suddenly blushed. Last night's matter? I'm afraid of thunder. You must forget about it. Oh, what I said was, when I was a child, I liked to hug a puppy to sleep. Teacher Liao, what are you thinking? Li Fan chuckled. Liao Wushuang is even more embarrassed. How can you tease a teacher like this? I'll fail you in English. Teacher Liao, you can't abuse your power like this. Li Fan immediately became anxious. If he failed in English, what would happen? Although I won't fall to the last place with one less score, if I fail in English, won't Chang Chuanxi laugh at me to death? As a person, he must not lose face like this. Humph, who told a student like you to be so glib? Liao Wushuang said, if you dare to talk nonsense again, I'll really punish you like this. I'm not talking nonsense, aren't what I said the truth? No, I must forget about it. By the way, Teacher Liao, there's something I'm worried about. Li Fan suddenly became worried. Liao Wushuang tilted her head. What's the matter? Both of us slept naked last night. Will we give birth to a child? You. Liao Wushuang was momentarily speechless, as if choked. We didn't do that. How could we get pregnant? Liao Wushuang is angry and ashamed. You, this child, don't understand the scientific truth. If a man and a woman want to have a child, they must go through that kind of thing. Moreover, it's not that easy to get pregnant, not to mention these 2 days are still my safe period. Liao Wushuang felt that she had inadvertently said something terrible, and Li Fan was also stunned. How could he continue the conversation? The two people were embarrassed for a long time. The atmosphere is unusually thick. After a long time, a burnt smell rushed into their nose, and Liao Wushuang suddenly exclaimed, "Not good. I boiled the milk." She ran to the kitchen in a panic. Li Fan followed her and saw that the kitchen has begun to emit black smoke. A pot sitting on the stove has begun to burn. The fire is so strong that Liao Wushuang panicked, subconsciously grabbed the water basin next to her and splashed it on the pot. "Hey-do," Li Fan exclaimed, but it's too late, the water has been splashed on the pot. Boom. My goodness, a huge fireball soared to the sky and burned the ceiling, blackening it. Teacher Liao. You're not an English teacher, you should be a mage. This big fireball is really good. Li Fan can't help but ridicule. Liao Wushuang is already at a loss, not knowing what to do. Chapter 227. Teacher Liao, step back. Li Fan pulled Liao Wushuang behind him, reached out to turn off the gas valve, and then swept his hand toward the pot. Although the wind can help the fire, if the wind is too strong, like a vacuum, it can also smoothly extinguish the fire. Sure enough, with Li Fan's palm strike, the blazing flame immediately extinguished. Liao Wushuang was somewhat surprised. Could it be that turning off the gas can extinguish the fire? This is not scientific. Lucky. Li Fan is also glad that he has internal force, otherwise, this fire would really be ignited. The entire kitchen was burned black. The ceiling has turned into a black curtain. The landlord won't look for you, right? Li Fan is somewhat worried. This place burned to this state, it will not be cheap to renovate it. If he meets a black-hearted landlord, he will be ruthlessly ripped off, perhaps he will feel pain. It's okay, I have already bought the house. Liao Wushuang gave Li Fan a smile. Thank you for your concern for teacher. Teacher is very happy. Fuck dead nouveau riche. Li Fan suddenly does not know how to respond. Why the world is full of this kind of nouveau riche? Murong Ing is rich, Lu Xinan is rich, even this new teacher Liao is also a little nouveau riche. There is no justice. How can I continue to be silent? I must be a real rich generation. Looks like I can't eat milk. But teacher still made sandwiches. Liao Wushuang brought 2 plates from the balcony, with sandwiches that she made. Teacher Liao also knows how to make a Western breakfast. There was a fried egg and a sandwich on the plate. It looked quite presentable. It's cheaper to cook for yourself abroad. At your age, a glass of milk every morning is the best. Liao Wushuang is a bit annoyed. Unfortunately, I messed it up. Is teacher a bit stupid? How can teacher Liao be stupid? Teacher Liao's knowledge is very rich. Li Fan quickly said, a lot of students in the class especially admire teacher Liao's knowledge. But knowledge does not mean wisdom. Liao Wushuang is slightly tangled. Do I have to eat red wine for breakfast? Forget it, I still have a test later. I'll just drink some water when I get to class. Li Fan said that it was better not to drink red wine. The more you drink, the easier it is to get into trouble. After breakfast, Liao Wuxuang proposed to drive Li Fan to school. Li Fan didn't refuse. After all, it was a bit shocking to go from Liao Wuxuang's place to school. It was a distance of more than 20 kilometers. If he ran to school at a normal speed, it would be strange if he wasn't late. Liao Wuxuang took out her red BMW Z4 from the garage and let Li Fan sit in the front passenger seat. "Hey, Li Fan, why don't you fasten your seatbelt?" Liao Wuxuang couldn't help but ask when she saw that Li Fan had no intention of fastening his seatbelt. The co-pilot doesn't have to wear a seatbelt. It's okay." Li Fan waved his hand casually. He had never fastened his seatbelt while sitting in the front passenger seat. It should be said that he was not the only one. Everyone in a city was almost the same. Everyone didn't have this habit of sitting in the front passenger seat. It was very casual. How can this be? This is a bad habit. Liao Wuxuang pulled the handbrake and then twisted her body, almost pressing on Li Fan's body. She pulled the seatbelt for him and buckled it carefully. Although they had slept together for a night, Li Fan was also very sleepy at that time, so he didn't feel much. But now the two of them were so close to each other that their breaths seemed to merge together. "Bah, why did you use such a dirty word?" But she was really close to him. It was said in the book that when two people were too close to each other for more than 3 seconds, the hormones between men and women would have a strange reaction, and then they would begin to attract each other. Although human beings were advanced animals, they were not separated from the nature of animals. In some primitive aspects, there was still no difference. Liao Wuxuang and Li Fan were obviously among them, especially Liao Wuxuang's chest pressed on Li Fan's collar, which made Li Fan feel happy and suffocated. It could also be said that he was so happy that he was about to suffocate. The two of their faces were also very close, and they could feel each other's breath. At that moment, Li Fan felt that Liao Wuxuang's lips were even more tempting. The rosy lips were placed in front of him, like a plate of delicious food, waiting for him to taste. After Liao Wuxuang fastened her seatbelt, she also seemed to feel that kind of charming atmosphere. She looked at Li Fan, her eyes blinking and her long eyelashes trembled. Every time her eyelashes trembled, it seemed to be able to tug at Li Fan's heartstrings. It was as if someone had thrown a heart-shaped stone into Li Fan's heart, causing endless ripples. A strong attraction seemed to be stronger than his dragon toad's water absorption. Li Fan subconsciously wanted to move closer to Liao Wuxuang's lips. Very close, really very close. Just a little bit more and I can kiss her. 5 centimeters, 2 centimeters, 1 centimeter. He seemed to be able to feel the temperature on Liao Wuxuang's lips, but at this moment, a car horn pierced their ears, and the driver behind them kept pressing on the horn. "If you want to kiss, go home and kiss. Don't block the way. You two might as well have sex in the car." The people behind them cursed, and Li Fan and Liao Wuxuang felt very embarrassed. Fasten it." Liao Wuxuang blushed, returned to the driver's seat, and then started the car in a hurry. Before she stepped on the clutch, she first stepped on the gas pedal. But with a bang, the car stalled. Liao Wuxuang hurriedly restarted the car, but she didn't find the clutch properly, and the car just started, and the engine stalled again. Phew! Liao Wuxuang took 2 deep breaths, as if trying to calm herself down. Li Fan stretched out his hand and gently placed it on Liao Wuxuang's hand that was holding the gear lever. "Teacher Liao, don't worry, take your time." "But the people behind us are so anxious." Liao Wuxuang's ears were filled with the honking of the car behind them. "Don't bother with him. Keep your mind clear." Li Fan's voice seemed to have a magical power, drilling into Liao Wuxuang's ears. At this moment, the honking in her ears seemed to be far away, and the world became quiet. Liao Wuxuang's mood also eased a lot. She was silent for a moment, and then skillfully changed the gear. The car smoothly started and drove out of the community. "Thank you, Li Fan." Liao Wuxuang expressed her gratitude to Li Fan. "Teacher Liao, you're too polite. We've slept together, don't be too polite." "Go to hell, as if that's a big deal." Liao Wuxuang blushed. "Don't talk nonsense in school." "What are you afraid of?" "We're not afraid of slanderous accusations." Li Fan vowed. No matter how the world views us, I will not be afraid. Why do you make it sound like a teacher and student love? I didn't say that, it was Teacher Liao who said it. Humph, you're just a little kid. How am I little? Where am I little? You're indeed very little, I even secretly touched you last night. What did you say? Chapter 228. Li Fan slept like a log last night. How could he think that Liao Wushuang would secretly touch his family heirloom? Your nose is really small. Chinese are all like this. Americans have big noses. My favorite is the hooked nose of the British. It looks very classy. Liao Wushuang stared straight ahead and said in a serious tone. Li Fan almost choked on his saliva. So she was talking about the nose? Fuck, I should go and face the wall. Actually, teacher thinks that if you have a hooked nose, you would be very handsome. However, you look pretty good now. You just need to be a little more confident. Thank you, Teacher Liao, for your comment. I will work hard. Tomorrow I will go to Korea and make my nose hooked. Especially for Teacher Liao to use to dry clothes. Aya, you can't even be serious. Liao Wushuang laughed. Seeing you full of confidence, I take back my words. It would be better if you were a little more humble. I'm already very humble. Li Fan said bluntly, I usually restrain myself in class, especially when it comes to grades. I don't even dare to set them too high. I'm afraid that those good students won't be able to bear it and cause some accidents. You're even bragging now. Liao Wushuang did not believe Li Fan's nonsense. As your teacher, how could I not know your score? Teacher Liao, how can you say that? I'm your favorite student. Believe it or not, this time, I will give you the first place in the class. If you can get the first place in the class, I will go on a date with you. Liao Wushuang casually said. She knew Li Fan's English level. Okay, it's a deal. Li Fan's temper flared up. He does not dare to say he is the first in the class. After all, there is a perverted IQ Lin Yuten blocking his way. But the first place in the class should not be a problem. The only good student in the class is Deng Siwei. If he surpasses that guy, he will be envious. Li Fan's 3 minutes of popularity is just a joke. Although his English had improved, it had not reached the level of being the first in class. There were too many people in the class who were better at English than him. Bai Lin Luo was much better than him. Almost 3 minutes later, Li Fan had forgotten about this matter. They talked about other things in the car. Li Fan asked about Liao Wushuang's life abroad. He had never been out of this country, so he was still a little curious about the outside world. There was a particularly tacky and melodramatic saying, but Li Fan had personally verified its reliability. The time of happiness was indeed short. Usually, it would take him a long time to run 20 kilometers, but today, he felt that time passed very quickly as he chatted with Liao Wushuang. We're here. I'll park the car. You can get off at the school gate. Liao Wushuang parked her car in front of the school gate. Many boys around looked over. Who didn't know the beautiful teacher's car? Li Fan suddenly realized that his hand was still touching Liao Wushuang's hand. The two of them actually didn't notice it for so long. He loosened his hand. Liao Wushuang also noticed it, and her face suddenly turned red. Then I'm going to take the exam. See you, Teacher Liao. Li Fan opened the car door and walked out. The surrounding boys who were waiting to see the beautiful teacher were all envious. Fuck, who is this boy? I want to beat him up. A student said with jealousy. Don't make trouble. This is the school's trusted little tyrant. Li Fan, a student next to him hurriedly reminded. Fuck, so it's him. Do you still want to beat him up? I just remembered that I haven't memorized a question. I'll beat him up after I memorize it. These words were blown into Li Fan's ears. Now that he has entered the next level of strength, his ears and eyes are sharp. These words were clearly heard by him. But Li Fan didn't want to pay attention to them. Saying that he was the school's little tyrant, who did he bully? Li Fan. Just as Li Fan was about to return to class, a familiar voice stopped him. Li Fan turned his head and saw the school bell standing by the fountain, waving at him. Because it was late autumn, the fountain had been turned off. But as Lin Yuetin stood there, her beautiful figure seemed to blend into a painting. There was a feeling that the fountain was still spraying water, and a beautiful rainbow was outlined. Li Fan rubbed his eyes, thinking that even the illusion came out. He must have not slept well. Our school bell, what is she doing here instead of going to the morning self-study session? There was still an hour of morning self-study time. Why didn't Lin Yuzhen go back to class? Such a good student definitely wouldn't skip class. Come here for a moment? Lin Yuzhen waved at Li Fan with some uneasiness. She felt that her recent attitude was a bit tough. If she wanted to take Li Fan away from Murong Ying, this attitude wouldn't do. No man liked a jealous woman, and Li Fan was no exception. Moreover, with such a strong woman like Murong Ying by his side, he couldn't have another one. Lin Yuzhen thought for a few days, and then waited here early in the morning. You haven't finished eating, right? My mom asked me to bring you a pancake. Lin Yuzhen's mother had already returned from a trip to Singapore, Malaysia, and Thailand. This middle-aged woman was in high spirits, and she firmly believed in Li Fan's identity as a rich second generation. Your mom is so funny. How can a rich second generation like to eat pancakes? Li Fan sat down on the sink, and Lin Yuzhen hurriedly stopped him. Cold. It's okay, I have a lot of firepower. Li Fan had true qi to protect his body, so it was not a problem. I'll just burn you to death. Lin Yuzhen curled her lips. Besides, my mom also thinks that since you're used to eating delicacies, pancakes might be even rarer. Your mom's thinking is too advanced. If you don't want to eat, then forget it, I'll feed it to the dogs. Don't, I'll eat, I'm just hungry. Li Fan's appetite was really not small. There was only a sandwich and an egg in the morning. How could it be enough for him? But in front of Teacher Liao, he was too embarrassed to say that he was not full. Moreover, Teacher Liao's kitchen had already exploded. It wouldn't be good to ask Teacher Liao to go out and buy breakfast for him. But with Lin Yuzhen, there was no need to be polite. Li Fan directly grabbed the pancake and started eating. Eat slowly, don't choke. Lin Yuzhen put her bag under her body, sat down, and then handed a bottle of pear water to Li Fan. This is the pear water I boiled myself. Thank you. Li Fan took it and gulped it down. Eating like this was the way to his heart's content. Thank you, Lin Yuzhen, you're the best. Li Fan was very grateful. It was still his fake girlfriend who was good to him. There are a few sets of papers here. Take advantage of the time before the exam. Pooh. Li Fan spat out a mouthful of pear water. Chapter 229. Human can't withstand praise. I just praised Lin Yuzhen, and she gave me such a ruthless stab. Comrade Lin. So you stopped me early in the morning just to make me do the test paper. Li Fan pinched the remaining bite of the pancake, his face filled with indignation. An honest person does not eat food given out of handouts. The ancients did not lie to me. Fuck you, what are you talking about? Lin Yuzhen rolled her eyes at Li Fan. I did not give you any tutoring for a few days, so before the exam, I will give you a crash course. Then I really have to thank you. Li Fan was speechless. This girl, is she worried about me or torturing me? No wonder people say, don't try to guess a woman's mind, it's impossible to guess. It seems like the great physicist Hawking once said, women are the most complicated creatures in the world. Trying to understand a woman's mind is even more difficult than taking an exam. These are the types of questions that I chose. Lin Yuzhen took out a few sets of test papers and placed them on Li Fan's and her legs. The two of them are sitting next to each other, very close. When they are doing the questions, Li Fan can even smell the fragrance on Lin Yuzhen's body. It's a different smell from Liao Wushuang. Women are really strange, even their body odors are different. This kind of animal is very complicated, it's not wrong at all. Li Fan took a few deep sniffs. Lin Yuzhen, who was explaining to Li Fan, suddenly raised her head and stared at Li Fan, frowning, and asked, What are you doing? Smelling you. Pervert. Fuck, that's not what I meant, I'm just curious, where did the fragrance on your body come from? Pervert. Why don't you listen to my explanation? I'm just seeking knowledge. Pervert. Little classmate Lin, this is not right. You were the one who told me that a person must have the desire to get to the bottom of things. I'm just curious. Pervert. Can't you change your words? Even adding a word would do. What a freak. Li Fan was speechless. He silently accepted his fate. All right, I'm a pervert, I'm a scoundrel. Do you still want to teach me? This problem is solved this way. What do you think? Lin Yin immediately lowered her head and focused on the question. This time, it was Li Fan's turn to collapse. This woman was simply insane. After talking for a long time, Lin Yin suddenly said something. Do I smell good? Smells good? Damn, Li Fan said. How can this woman's thinking be so jumpy? Are people with high IQs all schizophrenic? Lin Yin took out a beautifully packaged notebook from her school bag. If you compliment me for smelling good, I'll give you 1 point. Eavesdropping on girls, psychopathic, 10 points deducted. What the fuck, you're still calculating this score. Li Fan was speechless. I thought you stopped. How can I do that? One must finish what he started. Lin Yuesen replied indifferently. Then when can I get full marks? In your next life. Li Fan felt that his combat power today was a little weak. He still needed to work hard to win against this woman with high IQs. There were a total of 4 exams today, according to the college entrance examination system. Chinese and mathematics were tested in the morning, while English and comprehensive liberal arts were tested in the afternoon. Lin Yuyan prepared 2 sets of Chinese and mathematics papers for Li Fan. After a short interlude, both of them stopped joking around and focused on finishing the papers. The probability of these types of questions appearing in this exam is very high. You must keep them in mind. Lin Yuhsian reminded Li Fan. Don't forget them after finishing them. How can you be so sure that this exam will be like this? Li Fan felt a little strange. Lin Yusen laughed and pointed to her head. Isn't it simple? Probability, analysis. These few days, the teacher has been explaining these things. In addition, there are some things that I neglected in the previous exam. I've put them in. Probability is quite interesting. It's also very effective in psychological analysis. Why? You've analyzed the psychology of the teacher who came up with the questions? Yes. Lin Yuhsian nodded. According to the key points that they like to focus on in their lectures, it's also listed in the scope of my revision. She readily admitted, Li Fan, whether you like it or not, China's education method is like this. We don't learn the knowledge, but the skills of the exam. As long as you master the skills of the exam, then you can be like me, a god of exams. You're the opposite of Teacher Liao. She likes to cultivate my interest in learning. Li Fan couldn't help but compare. Lin Yuyan was originally quite proud of herself. She was almost wagging her tail. Hearing what Li Fan said, she immediately snorted, You're not allowed to tutor her in the future. She's good at it. Am I not good at it? Lin Yuhsian immediately asked. It's also good, but the method is different. Li Fan honestly said, especially English. Her English is very practical and interesting. Lin Yusen choked with anger. She wanted to scold him for being a rotten wood that cannot be carved. But in the end she endured it and didn't scold him. Then you're only allowed to tutor her in English. I'll teach you the other subjects. Okay. Li Fan didn't mind this. Anyway, it's fine as long as he could learn English from Liao Wushuang. That's more like it. Then from tonight onwards, tutor me. Not tonight. Li Fan immediately said, I have something to do tonight. I won't be in City A for the next 2 days. I'll probably be back on Sunday. You're going out again? Yes, after all, I'm a struggling rich second generation. I have to busy myself with my own business. Li Fan chuckled, which made Lin Yusen roll her eyes. Go to hell. You're not being serious again. Then I'll look for you on Monday. By the way, let's meet here at noon. I have papers for you to review for the afternoon exam. Got it, Miss Lin. See you at noon. Bye-bye. Lin Yusen seemed to be a little happy again. She swayed her beautiful ponytail and left at a brisk pace like a happy deer. Women are really hard to understand. Li Fan shrugged his shoulders and returned to his classroom. Li Fan, you're late. Chang Chuanxi looked at Li Fan with a livid face. I said there's an exam today, but I didn't say I have to have morning self-study. Li Fan put his school bag on the seat and said carelessly, "Miss Chang, next time you let me have morning self-study, you must make it clear." All students, listen up. In Chang Chuanshi's eyes, Li Fan was a rascal. Therefore, he didn't bother to bicker with Li Fan. He changed the topic and announced one thing: from Friday onwards, there will be supplementary lessons on Saturday and Sunday. There will be half a day off in the afternoon on Sunday, but there will be evening self-study in the evening. "Miss Chang, is the supplementary lessons compulsory?" Li Fan asked immediately. "It's not compulsory." Chang Chuanshi broke a piece of chalk. Chapter 230. The private number 2 high school continues to carry out their so-called high-pressure policy, but Li Fan does not have the mind to care about these things at this moment. After he finished the exam, he immediately returned to the billiard hall. But when he arrived, he unexpectedly saw a familiar face. "This place is closed, no one is allowed to enter." Guan Wenbao is standing at the billiard hall's entrance like a door god, blocking outsiders from entering. "I'm here to find Li Fan." Outside, a handsome man with a white jade-like face rolls his eyes. "Quickly let this Taoist grandpa in. Otherwise, I'll hit you." A lot of girls who have just finished school cannot help but peek at this handsome man. Because he is too handsome, especially because he practices martial arts all year round, he has a unique expert demeanor. Those little fresh meats on TV simply cannot compare to him. "Not letting." Guan Wenbao stubbornly guards his position. "Especially you, absolutely not letting." But the handsome man is somewhat surprised. "Jealous of my handsomeness? I'm sorry, this is a face bestowed to me by the heavens, I cannot refuse." Benefactor said that if a man is dressed in white, he is either narcissistic or perverted. Guan Wenbao says in all seriousness, "You don't look like a narcissist." "Who is your benefactor? You dare to spout nonsense, pull him out for a fight." Today, the handsome man is wearing a white trench coat, a pair of white pants, and a pair of white leather shoes. His long hair is tied into a ponytail, making him look casual and elegant, which can really attract a lot of young girls. But to Guan Wenbao, this is called showing off his coquettishness, which is not manly. "Benefactor? Just happened to come over." Guan Wenbao's gaze falls behind the handsome man. The handsome man's hand is on his waistband, and his mouth shouts, "Let him see this Taoist grandpa's big sword." "Fuck, how come it's you?" Yen Kai looks at the approaching Li Fan with a face full of black lines. "As a Taoist priest, your mouth is full of profanity, is this good?" "Not at all, I cultivate the free and unfettered Tao." Yen Kai said proudly, "I'm happy to be free and unfettered. Why worry about nothing? If you recover from your injuries, go back to the mountains and cultivate, or find a place to start your career as a model. What are you doing here?" Li Fan waved his hand. "Old Guan, chase him away." "All right." When Guan Wenbao heard this, he immediately became excited and rolled up his sleeves. Yen Kai hurriedly said, "Hey, why are you in such a hurry? Why are you chasing me away?" "Then what exactly do you want?" "Li Fan, you can't play like this. Because of you, I lost my job in the embroidered uniform guard. You have to take responsibility for me." Feeling wronged, Yen Kai said, "Because of you, I suffered so much pain and lost so much blood. Have you forgotten?" Guan Wenbao's gaze was a little strange. Li Fan almost broke down and shouted at Yen Kai, "Fuck, can you not be so ambiguous? Old Guan, don't overthink. It's not what you think. What are you afraid of? The two of us are above board. Why do we need to explain?" Yen Kai said generously, "Fuck off. Who's above board with you? Bah, I don't know you. Go away." Li Fan couldn't stand it anymore. The surrounding girls were very regretful. "Hey, such a handsome man is actually gay. Why do all good men become gay? I want to save him." "Save your appearance first." The surrounding people's discussion made Li Fan very depressed. But Yen Kai acted as if he didn't hear it and continued to talk to Li Fan. "In short, you have to take responsibility for me. Now that I have no job, I have to find a way to survive. My expenses are very high. Clothes, cosmetics, These are all money. Fuck, that has nothing to do with me. Li Fan wanted to cry but no tears came out. After all, I lost my job because of you. Yen Kai said seriously, the genie guard is a very promising job. The monthly salary is more than 10,000. You see, even if I work for you, you can't give me so much money. I don't mind, as long as you arrange a job for me. Otherwise, I will hang a banner in front of your billiard hall every day, telling you that you are unscrupulous. Let's talk inside. There were so many people outside, and Li Fan didn't want to make things worse. If she allowed Yen Kai to cry and make a fuss, how would she be able to survive in the school in the future if rumors were to spread? Li Fan invited Yen Kai into the billiard hall. As soon as Yen Kai came in, he immediately covered his nose. It's so dirty, smelly and dirty. Why is it like a pigsty? When did you clean it? How can it be a pigsty? This is our career. Huang Lei was sitting at the side, scratching his feet. When he heard this, he was immediately unhappy. He stood up and shouted, "One more word, and I will tear your mouth off." Yen Kai stretched out his hand, and a billiard ball on the table immediately flew up. It tore through the air, smashed through the wall beside Huang Lei, and embedded itself in it. Actually, it's good to have some opinions. It's for the better development of our billiard hall, hee. Huang Lei wiped his cold sweat, but in his heart, he was cursing. Damn it, too dangerous, this is too much. Guan Wenbao kicked open the box next to him, and the Yenyue Dao popped out. Guan Wenbao picked up the shaft with one hand, and the blade with the other, and assembled them together. You dare to bully our people in our territory? I want to see how strong you are today. As he spoke, he waved his sword and pointed it at Yen Kai opposite him. Huang Lei was touched. Old Guan, you are too kind. Don't mention it. Guan Wenbao said indifferently, if my dog is bullied, I will also be angry. Fuck your ancestors. The gratitude in Huang Lei's heart had completely disappeared. You two can fight, but don't destroy my things. Li Fan reminded, otherwise, I'll turn my back on you. Okay, since Li Fan has agreed, I will play with you. Yen Kai laughed. Seeing that you are holding the Yenyue Dao, you must be practicing the Guan family's saber technique. Good eyesight. The internal energy you used just now seems to be Wudong's Tai Chi. Guan Wenbao was not inferior, which surprised Yen Kai. Good. It is my honor to fight with the descendant of the Guan family today. As Yen Kai spoke, he opened his hands, and the Tai Chi power in his body began to move. The billiard balls on the 4 tables all flew up and floated around him, as if Yen Kai was the center of the universe, and those billiard balls were moving planets. Freedom Cultivator, Yen Kai. The descendant of the Guan family, Guan Wenbao. The two of them said their names together, and at the same time, their true energy began to surge. Big brother, can I stand behind you? Huang Lei asked Li Fan. Coward. Chapter 231. It was no wonder that Huang Lei was afraid. It was indeed very scary for these two masters to fight in this small billiard hall. As the saying goes, when immortals fight, mortals suffer. Although these two were not immortals, they were almost at the level of mortals. Remember, don't break my things. Li Fan emphasized again. The two were still calm, staring at each other. Neither of them was in a hurry to make a move. As the saying goes, the first to strike has the upper hand, and the last to strike will suffer. But in a real fight, this method was not suitable. Whoever made the first move would be the one who showed the first flaw. Guan Wenbao and Yen Kai were two such masters. They were waiting for each other to make the first move. Guan Wenbao raised his Yenyue Dao, while Yen Kai used Tai Chi to control the billiards around him. Their gazes collided first, each filled with hostility. Brother, I'm hungry. After waiting for half an hour, Huang Lei touched his belly and said, Why don't you order a meal? I think so. The two waited for more than 20 minutes. Suddenly, the door was pushed open, and the waiter of the noodle restaurant next door shouted, Who ordered egg noodles? Come out and pay. Hearing his shout, Yen Kai and Guan Wenbao's tense nerves suddenly relaxed. Yen Kai was the first one. He had been staring at every detail of Guan Wenbao's body. Suddenly he heard a shout. His attacking instinct suddenly broke out, and the surrounding billiard balls bounced toward Guan Wenbao one by one. Who was Guan Wenbao? He was the descendant of the Guan family. His Guan family's saber technique was like a mad dragon rising from the sea, incisively and vividly. With so many billiard balls in front of him, he just waved the big knife in his hand and swung it like a crescent moon, splitting the billiard balls in half. Damn, young master's billiard balls. Although there were spare billiard balls in the shop, seeing these billiard balls being cut in half continuously made his heart bleed. I told you not to cause any damage. Li Fan roared angrily, but the two of them had already turned a deaf ear to what was happening outside. The little brother who delivered the noodles was so scared that he peed his pants. He threw the 2 bowls of noodles on the ground and ran away. Oh my God, it's haunted. The sky was filled with billiard balls. In his eyes, it was like a haunted place. Li Fan hurriedly stretched out his hand and used his true chi to catch the 2 bowls of noodles. His other hand pulled down, and the iron door of the billiard hall immediately fell with a loud bang, smashing countless dust on the ground. Damn, I almost wasted 2 bowls of noodles. Li Fan wiped his sweat. Lei, remember to return the money. Don't worry, big bro, it's Alipay. Huang Lei caught the noodles that Li Fan pulled over with his true chi, then pulled out a chair and sat together with Li Fan, eating the noodles while watching the 2 clowns fight. Yan Kai's internal tai chi was very overbearing. The billiard balls flew freely in the air, as if they were living spirits, repeatedly attacking Guan Wenbao's weak points. But the crescent blade in Guan Wenbao's hands was obviously a piece of heavy iron, but it was weightless. He used it as if it was a toy. No matter which direction the billiard balls came from, they were unable to hurt a single hair on Guan Wenbao's body. Finally, Yan Kai also discovered that his attacks could not hurt Guan Wenbao. Tai Chi was originally a move that used defense as offense. Because of the person who delivered the noodles, he was confused, otherwise he would not be so passive. But Guan Wenbao was not impatient, nor did he attack. He just blocked Yan Kai's attack, as if he was purposely exhausting Yan Kai's patience. Don't think that Guan Wenbao was usually naive, but once the fight started he was never careless. The 2 people's strength seemed to be evenly matched, and Guan Wenbao vaguely had the upper hand. Li Fan crossed his arms, feeling a little strange. Guan Wenbao's hands seemed to be even better than before when they fought. Different from him, Guan Wenbao usually, besides looking after the store, he was training. It could be said that his diligence in martial arts far surpassed him. If he trained for an hour a day, Guan Wenbao trained for at least 10 hours, or even more. Maybe Guan Wenbao did not have the talent of him and Yan Kai in martial arts, but he was undoubtedly the most diligent one. Total annihilation. Guan Wenbao suddenly made a move and directly swept out with his saber. Yan Kai was a little surprised. Obviously, he had already adapted to the rhythm of Guan Wenbao's defense. He did not expect him to suddenly attack. Tai Chi generates yin and yang. But Yan Kai was, after all, an expert in Tai Chi. He suddenly stretched out his left hand and attached it to Guan Wenbao's saber, preparing to use Guan Wenbao's strength to make him lose his balance. But Guan Wenbao seemed to have already predicted Yan Kai's move. He smiled, and then the true chi in his body boiled, quickly pouring into the saber and rubbing at high speed. Who? Guan Wenbao's saber actually carried a crimson flame, which was caused by the high heat produced by the friction between the true chi and the air. Although it did not last for a long time, it was enough for Guan Wenbao. Yan Kai felt that Guan Wenbao's saber was like a sea of fire, unexpectedly not affected by his Tai Chi force. Yan Kai was not stupid. It was impossible for him to use his Tai Chi force to resist. He opened his arms and jumped up like a rock spreading its wings. In a blink of an eye, he landed on the billiard table behind him, dodging Guan Wenbao's flame version of total annihilation. As expected of a descendant of the Guan family. Amazing! Yan Kai did not feel nervous at all. Instead, he gave a thumbs up to Guan Wenbao. Since that's the case, I should also take out some real skills. Saying that, Yan Kai took out his belt with one hand and put the other hand in his pocket. Those who did not know would think that Yan Kai was a cool person. But Li Fan understood that this guy was afraid of his pants falling off. My Guan family's saber technique has never been lenient. Guan Wenbao said, "You should have fought me seriously earlier." "It's my fault." Yan Kai apologized honestly. "I neglected the dignity of a martial artist. I want to apologize to you. I'm sorry." Saying that, he raised the belt in his hand and pointed at Guan Wenbao. "But from now on, I will not make such a low-level mistake. I will give you a fair and square defeat." "That's hard to say. Watch my saber." Guan Wenbao shouted loudly. Following that, he waved the crescent moon saber in his hand, forming a crescent moon in the air, and slashed at Yan Kai. Yan Kai retreated and landed on the wall behind him. His feet were stuck to the top of the wall with true chi. Just as Guan Wenbao's saber was about to fall on the billiard table, it stopped abruptly a centimeter away from the table. Ding. The billiard table was fine, but a deep trench appeared on the ground below it. Guan Wenbao's crescent moon saber was used to perfection. Chapter 232. Don't even think about dodging. Guan Wenbao turned his body and swung the Yenyue saber in his hand, aiming straight for Yan Kai's head. Although it was a sparring match, Guan Wenbao did not hold back at all. This was a battle between martial artists. When it came to a real fight, there was no need to stop. Good timing. However, Yan Kai held the sword on his belt and placed it directly on top of Guan Wenbao's saber. The Tai Chi force started to spin and sucked in Guan Wenbao's saber. This time, Guan Wenbao wanted to raise the flame again, but he did not expect that the moment he poured his true chi into it, it would be neutralized by the Tai Chi force on Yan Kai's sword. Guan Wenbao now realized that Yan Kai's strength was not as simple as he thought. His Tai Chi force was very pure and very powerful. Guan Wenbao tried to pull out his saber 3 times, but he did not manage to do so. "Guan Wenbao, you are a good martial artist. You can see my new move." After losing to the commander, Yan Kai pondered for a few days in the hospital and finally created his own Tai Chi move. He did not expect that this move would be used on Guan Wenbao first. Yan Kai's belt jumped, and the true chi on his sword immediately caught Guan Wenbao's saber and sucked it to the wall beside him. This move was almost Yan Kai's ultimate move. From this move, one could see his exquisite control over true chi. This ball of true chi was like a lock, sucking in Guan Wenbao's saber, making it impossible for him to pull it out for a while. Although the duration was very short, it was enough for Yan Kai to make his move. "Thanks for letting me win." Yan Kai looked at the wide-open Guan Wenbao and thought that he was going to win, so he stabbed his sword at Guan Wenbao's throat. Although there was no suction force, the true chi on the belt was still as hard as iron. This time, it would definitely pierce through Guan Wenbao's throat. However, Guan Wenbao's expression did not change. With a flick of his wrist and a twist of his palm, he actually removed the hilt of the saber. With a flick of the hilt, he stabbed at Yan Kai as well. Yan Kai was shocked. His belt had already been thrown out. It seemed that it was too late for him to block this heavy blow. Yan Kai subconsciously took out his other hand from his pocket, placed it on the handle of the knife, and pulled back. Guan Wenbao's body staggered forward. He stomped on the floor to stabilize himself. Yan Kai's pants had already been pushed down to his calves. Yan Kai was wearing a pair of pink underpants, and his flirtatious aura could not be concealed. Yan Kai hurriedly reached out to pull up his pants, but Guan Wenbao raised his leg and kicked Yan Kai, who was caught off guard, onto the billiard table. Guan Wenbao pressed the handle of his saber against Yan Kai's neck. His whole body stuck to Yan Kai, and his legs separated Yan Kai's legs, locking down all of Yan Kai's moves. "Are you convinced?" "No." Yan Kai's self-esteem was very strong. He would rather die than submit. "If you're not convinced, then obediently lie down. If you're so capable, then let go of this Taoist and let this Taoist put on his pants. Let's fight for 300 rounds. "No way, you pervert." The two of them seemed to have reached an impasse, and no one was willing to give in to the other. Li Fan and Huang Lei were eating noodles, watching in high spirits. At this moment, the big iron door was suddenly pulled open. Yin Xiaoru walked in, and when she saw the scene, she was stunned. A beautiful man without pants was pressed down on the billiard table by a burly man. As for the other two men, they were slurping the noodles while pointing at them excitedly. I'm disturbing you guys. You guys continue. Yin Xiaoru retreated and silently closed the iron door. Fuck, you two, stop messing around. Business is here. Li Fan quickly put the bowl to the side, got up, and called out to Yin Xiaoru. Yan Kai and Guan Wenbao also stood up awkwardly, as if realizing how ambiguous their posture was. Miss Yin, don't misunderstand. Guan Wenbao quickly said, there's nothing like that between the two of us. Please don't misunderstand. That's right. We're fine. Yan Kai also explained, it's just that he used his big stick to subdue me for a while. Yin Xiaoru had an expression that said, I understand, while Guan Wenbao wanted to kill someone. That's true. Why are you looking at me with a murderous look? Did I say something wrong? Yan Kai still felt wronged. The one who was pressed down on the billiard table is me, okay? Why don't you guys continue for a while? I can come back an hour later. Yin Xiaoru said in a considerate manner. No need. The two of them can do it on the bed later. Let's talk business now. Li Fan waved his hand. Let's talk business now, business. Here's 50,000 yuan, not a cent less. Yin Xiaoru took out 5 bundles of money from her backpack and put them on the billiard table. You guys count it. It's not that potion money again, right? Huang Lei took out one and looked at it under the light. It looks real. Of course it's real. Yin Xiaoru rolled her eyes. We're going to be together for so long. Why would I cheat you with fake money? It's okay. I believe her. Li Fan pushed the money back. Put the money in the billiard hall first. Take 10,000 yuan for the road. Then Lei, is the car ready? Huang Lei nodded. It's a Wollongong with new tires. It can run a few hundred kilometers back and forth. Then, I need to inspect the goods. Li Fan said to Yin Xiaoru, we can't go there. If you say the goods are wrong, we can't explain. Here it is. Yin Xiaoru took out a black cinerary casket, and Huang Lei panicked. Damn, are you shooting a horror film? It's safer to put it in here. Yin Xiaoru opened the urn. It was filled with foam and a pure gold Buddha was sandwiched in the middle. Huang Lei's eyes turned green when he saw the Buddha. It's really pure gold. How much is this thing worth? If it's converted to RMB, I won't be able to spend it all my life. The value of this thing can't be measured by money. Yin Xiaoru rolled her eyes. Since you've seen it, shouldn't we go? Okay. Li Fan nodded. Be careful along the way. Except for eating and refueling, try not to stop. That's for the best. Yin Xiaoru also agreed. Have you decided on the route? Yes, our military counselor ordered it. Li Fan said, it's the safest route of all. Okay, let's go to a place first. Where are we going first? Yin Xiaoru was curious. Where were they going before leaving? To the cram school to pick up our military counselor. Li Fan chuckled. Yin Xiaoru was speechless. He found a group of high school students to escort him. How could they be reliable? Wait a minute. Yan Kai suddenly stopped them. Chapter 233. Wait a minute. Yan Kai suddenly stopped them. Li Fan turned around, not knowing what this brother was up to. What else do you want, man without pants? Li Fan gave Yan Kai a suitable title. Yan Kai was depressed, but he endured it and changed his words. Mortals, this Taoist grandpa is the son of God who descended to the human world. This Taoist grandpa needs a chance to travel the human world to understand the suffering of the human world. Now that this Taoist grandpa is giving you such a chance, aren't you grateful? Speak properly. Li Fan stared at Yan Kai. My career is over. I need to find a job or I will starve to death. Yan Kai said, feeling wronged, I need a job. All right. Li Fan pointed at the van. I'll give you a chance. Start as an escort. 2,000 a month. 2,000 is too little. Yan Kai was furious. Even selling sausages is more profitable than this. Then go ahead and sell sausages. I won't stop you. Li Fan shrugged his shoulders. Let's part ways on good terms. Goodbye. But 2000 it is then. Yen Kai immediately agreed. It's better than starving. Get in the van. Li Fan thought that he had swindled another fighter. But if you don't do well, I'll fire you. This Taoist grandpa is the descendant of the martial song star. Escorting an escort is nothing to me. Yen Kai chuckled, causing everyone to roll their eyes. Yin Xiaoru was a little nervous. Relying on these people, could they really successfully deliver the golden Buddha statues to Flying Flower Town? This time, Huang Lei borrowed a van from someone. The van was very spacious and could seat 7 people. Huang Lei was in charge of driving while Guan Wenbao sat in the front passenger seat. Li Fan and Yen Kai sat in the back, protecting Yin Xiaoru's golden Buddha statues. Not long later, Bai Lin Luo also got in the van. This brother was actually wearing a Special Forces uniform. Who knows where he got it from, making him look like a special police officer. Bro, are you going to save hostages in CS? When Huang Lei saw Bai Lin Luo's expression, he couldn't help but complain. Don't you think this is very professional? Bai Lin Luo pressed down on the brim of his cap. This uniform was given to me by my cousin. He's a special police officer from Hong Kong. I asked him to mail it to me. After all, we're going out to do a mission. We have to be formal. Bai Lin Luo said seriously, how can it be so casual? Look at Huang Lei, he's just short of wearing a pair of pants. Why are you speaking so irresponsibly? Huang Lei wasn't happy to hear that. It's such a cold day. I'll freeze to death if I wear underwear. Besides, if he only wore a pair of underpants, wouldn't that make him look like a hooligan? Why didn't you say that I came out wearing slippers? I'm not that immoral. I still have a bottom line for you. This bottom line is too sloppy. The two of them started bickering as they talked. Yin Xiaoru covered her face at the side. Was she really making the right choice for this team? This group of people wouldn't have an accident on the way, right? You see, we're not the only pair of clowns. Yen Kai said proudly to Guan Wenbao. You see, there's another pair. Guan Wenbao kept his mouth shut. It seemed that he didn't want to talk to Yen Kai. Okay, everyone stop messing around. Let's get down to business. Li Fan turned around and looked at Yin Xiaoru beside him. Miss Yin, since we're all on the same boat, we should be on the same side. Now, can you tell us who your main enemies are? Who can it be? Yin Xiaoru laughed. It's nothing more than those little thieves. It's nothing to you. I don't think so. Li Fan smiled. His smile seemed to have a deeper meaning. As far as I know, the Imperial Secret Service seems to have their eyes on this thing. Isn't that right? What are you talking about? I don't understand. Yin Xiaoru continued to play dumb. I'm just a little girl. How could the Imperial Secret Service have their eyes on me? Miss Yin Xiaoru, take a closer look. Who is this person? It was too late that night. Yin Xiaoru didn't notice Yen Kai's appearance. At this time, according to Li Fan's words, she carefully looked at Yen Kai. Suddenly, she turned pale with fright. She subconsciously looked out of the window. Miss Yin, don't panic. Although he and I were the ones who caught you that day, we're no longer in the Imperial Secret Service because of a coincidence. Li Fan pressed his hand on Yin Xiaoru's shoulder to prevent her from doing something reckless. Why should I believe you? Yin Xiaoru's heart was indeed filled with fear. Especially towards Li Fan, the man who had caught her. She vaguely remembered that she once competed with a student in Qinggong. It seemed to be him. Oh my God, she had face blindness. She usually didn't care about it. But this time, she really suffered a big loss. Why would I lie to you? Even the commander's chrysanthemum was broken by us. Yen Kai immediately said. Yin Xiaoru was so scared that her face turned pale. Did these two really have bad hobbies? Can you not speak so ambiguously? Li Fan almost cried in anger. This Yen Kai, why does his words always have that kind of meaning? It's too easy to misunderstand. How did I speak ambiguously? Yen Kai himself didn't seem to notice. Am I wrong? In short, the local commander has been killed by the two of us. Li Fan suddenly said with a murderous look. The two of us have long been on the Imperial Secret Service's blacklist. If you think we're trouble, you can get off now. But I can only refund you half the money. Yin Xiaoru almost collapsed. This Li Fan was simply an unscrupulous businessman. Miss Yin, you can trust us. Bai Lin Luo pushed his glasses and said, right now, the car is full of our people. If we wanted to rob, we would have already done it. I'm telling you this because I hope that we can be more open and honest with each other. Okay. Yin Xiaoru didn't have any other way. She had already boarded the pirate ship. Then I'll tell you the truth. I'm the legendary flying cat. How about it? Are you scared? Do you admire me? It's not too late to ask for my autograph. This was the first time Yin Xiaoru told others about her identity. As for her master, she was not considered as an outsider. Flying cat? What's that? Huang Lei asked while driving. Yin Xiaoru was so angry that she almost went berserk. It's the world's #1 strange thief. Oh, that's just a thief. What's there to admire? What's the use of a thief's autograph? It's not worth much. As Huang Lei complained, Yin Xiaoru took out a dart from her pocket. Can I kill him? Chapter 234. Forget it. Li Fan quickly pulled Yin Xiaoru's hand. We're all in the same boat. Don't kill each other, it's not good. I can't take it anymore. Yan Kai had been holding it in for a long time. He finally exploded. We're in the same car, not the same boat. Yan Kai emphasized, in the same car. In the same car. Important things must be repeated 3 times, remember. Li Fan nodded, then continued to speak to Yin Xiaoru. Just like my friend said, we're all in the same boat. We have to think in the same direction and exert our strength in the same direction. Yan Kai was on the verge of going berserk. His OCD was driving him crazy. You dare to go against the flow, you deserve the wrath of the heavens. Don't be noisy, I'm talking business with our esteemed client. Li Fan glared at Yan Kai, then Yan Kai calmed down and sat to the side, sulking. Miss Yin, our escort agency doesn't care what your identity is. Since you've delivered the escort, we'll deliver it to the destination. So, don't worry, we understand the rules. I can be rest assured, but you also know that the people coming to kill you are from the embroidered uniform guard. Yin Xiaoru looked worriedly at Li Fan. Your escort agency has just been established, including the escort you just recruited. There are only 3 people. Can you really stop the embroidered uniform guard? This golden Buddha is a birthday gift from the Wang family and the commander of the embroidered uniform guard. Now that I've stolen it, I'm afraid the embroidered uniform guard won't let us off. Then how can you be sure that this thing will be delivered to Flying Flower Town without fail? Li Fan couldn't help but ask. Because this thing originally belonged to Flying Flower Town. Yin Xiaoru said, although this golden Buddha is called an antique, it's actually a tribute from the late Qing dynasty. So, this thing can be kept as a personal collection. It was originally a family heirloom of an ordinary villager in Flying Flower Town, but it was cheated by the Wang family for 5,000 yuan. 5,000 yuan? These golden Buddhas? Li Fan was shocked. This thing weighed more than 10 kilograms. Adding the craftsmanship and collection value, it could be sold for at least 3 million. What a scam. $5,000 for something worth millions. Bai Lin Luo was also very discerning. He grinned. How shameless must a person be to do this? He is indeed an unscrupulous businessman. TSK. Li Fan felt that the profiteer was referring to him. He coughed dryly and asked, can you tell me exactly how you did it? At that time, the owner of this golden Buddha was seriously ill. In order to treat him, his family hid it from the owner and temporarily mortgaged the golden Buddha to the pawn shop opened by the Wang family. Yin Xiaoru said, not long after that, they made enough money to redeem it, but the gold Buddha statues had already been replaced. When Master heard about this, he fell seriously ill again. I wonder how he is doing now. She looked a little depressed. When I first came down the mountain, I was so hungry that I couldn't eat. Fortunately, their family took care of me. A cat burglar actually knew how to be grateful? Li Fan secretly muttered in his heart. This world seemed to be a bit messy. Good people do bad things and bad people do good things. This was the current society. In short, I must send this thing back to Flying Flower Town. When I get there, even the embroidered uniform guards can't rob other people's things. And before that, I'm afraid I will be in a lot of difficulties. It's okay. Different situations call for different actions. Li Fan comforted Yin Xiaoru. After this business, we will all go our own ways. As long as you don't provoke us, we don't know who the flying cat is. Nice words, but you have to do it well. If you can't, I'll refund you the money. Humph, it's not about money. If you can't do it well, I will fight with you. When Yin Xiaoru said this, she did have a bit of the flying cat vibe. I just have something, but I don't know if I should say it. Yen Kai seemed to be a bit unable to hold back and took over the topic. Are you a talkative person? Guan Wenbao couldn't help but ridicule. It's enough to have Huang Lei as a talkative person. Too much. I am a proud son of heaven. How can I be compared to a stinky hooligan? Yen Kai immediately protested. Pei, who are you calling a stinky hooligan? Huang Lei was immediately unhappy. Do you believe I won't drive the car into a ditch? If this isn't a stinky hooligan, then what is? Yen Kai immediately shouted. This isn't called a hooligan. Li Fan teased, this is called a rascal. If Big Brother says I am a rascal, then I am a rascal. Huang Lei immediately said frankly, whatever Big Brother says. Yen Kai curled his lips. I am extremely speechless towards you. You only know how to flatter. You can't say that. Flattering depends on who is doing it. Huang Lei said his own flattery. You see, in our team, there are people who play with knives, come up with ideas, and sell buttocks. As for me, I am responsible for flattering my big brother, making him feel comfortable. Wait a minute. Yen Kai suddenly stretched out his hand. The one who plays with knives is Guan Wenbao, the one who comes up with ideas is this cosplayer, and who sells buttocks. It's definitely not my big brother. Huang Lei whistled. Who's the last one? You don't have to say it. Can I stab him to death? Yen Kai touched his waistband and asked Li Fan. Hey, stop it. I have been listening to you guys bickering all the way here. Li Fan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. How come there are 4 living treasures in my team? It's fine if it's others, but why is this Bai Lin Luo carrying a huge backpack? What's in your backpack? Li Fan finally couldn't help but ask. Of course, it's the things to bring when we go out. Bai Lin Luo was still excited. There are a lot of things to prepare. You see, this is the camping tent, this is the instant food, this is the compressed biscuit, this is the insect repellent. Damn, do you think we are going to have a picnic? Seeing Bai Lin Luo stuffed a lot of potato chips and ham sausages, Li Fan was speechless. This is my first time going far away, so I have to take it seriously. Bai Lin Luo said shyly. I can tolerate you bringing these, but why did you bring 2 dumbbells? I usually work out. Bai Lin Luo said seriously, even if it's a picnic, it can't be considered as exercise. No, it's escorting. You've already exposed yourself. Li Fan wiped the cold sweat on his forehead. At this time, Guan Wenbao, who has been sitting there with his eyes closed, suddenly had his eyes lit up. He picked up Bai Lin Luo's 2 dumbbells and sat in the car to exercise his arms. My God. Yin Xiaoru was about to collapse. Is this team reliable? Chapter 235. Yin Xiaoru thought that there was still hope for this team, but Yen Kai finally asked his question. Actually, what I want to say is, 3 of us are on the blacklist. Is this mission really not dangerous? Yin Xiaoru suddenly felt like crying. They don't know that the 3 of us are together. Li Fan waved his hand and Yen Kai added, but I have a bad feeling about this. Don't jinx it. Huang Lei was scolding Yen Kai when Li Fan suddenly raised his hand to silence everyone. Someone is coming. As he spoke, Huang Lei turned around and reminded him, Big bro, there's a car chasing us. Yin Xiaoru immediately looked back and saw a black Toyota quietly following them. She didn't know when it had driven over. It wasn't just this Toyota. Soon, a few more Toyotas approached them. In Xiaoru counted a total of 4 Toyotas chasing them on the highway. I didn't expect them to catch up to us on this road. Bai Lin Luo pushed his glasses up. It seems that the enemies we provoked this time are not ordinary. They want to kill us completely. Of course, after all, the 3 of us are on the blacklist. Yen Kai said proudly, the Brocade clan guards naturally give us special treatment. Fuck, is this something to be proud of? Huang Lei was speechless. This Master Yen Kai's brain was a little out of whack. They're ready to make a move. The 4 Toyotas seemed to want to block the van, but Bai Lin Luo had already put on his headphones and turned on his computer. The car's GPS appeared on the map. They didn't know what he was calculating, but he seemed to be very confident. It's just a few flags. Seeing a few Brocade clan guards in black vests sticking their heads out of the Toyota, Yen Kai curled his lips. They're looking down on us. The Brocade clan guards flipped over and landed on the roof of the Toyota. There were 4 Brocade clan guards squatting on top of the 4 Toyotas, each with 2 darts in their hands. Old Guan, protect the car. Li Fan instructed. Guan Wenbao immediately opened the door, flipped over, and landed on the roof of the van. Then, like a door god, he held his crescent blade and stood on the roof. At the same time, 4 embroidered uniform guards threw their darts at the van's tires. But who was Guan Wenbao? How could he let them have their way? He immediately swung the crescent moon blade in his hand, and the blade sent the darts flying again and again. No matter how many darts were thrown, they could not break through Guan Wenbao's defense. Yen Kai, go play with them. Li Fan snapped his fingers and Yen Kai smiled. I'm bored. Yen Kai also jumped out of the car, but with a tug of his hand, his whole body suddenly fell into a Toyota behind. The Brocade clan guards in the car were startled, and they hurriedly threw 4 darts at Yen Kai. The 4 darts arrived in front of Yen Kai in the blink of an eye, aiming for the space between his eyebrows. But Yen Kai did not care. He swung his right hand, and the power of Tai Chi was activated. The 4 darts were absorbed by his power, and in an instant, they hit the body of another Brocade clan guard, sending him flying and crashing into the nearby field. Yen Kai appeared in front of the Brocade clan guard who attacked him, and a smile appeared on his face. I'm here to play with you, my dear. Yen Kai winked at the Brocade clan guard, and a layer of cold sweat appeared on the latter's back. He did not know why his anus suddenly tightened. He subconsciously pulled out the goose feather blade from his waist and stabbed it toward Yen Kai's heart. But Yen Kai did not move. The goose feather blade automatically slid to the side when it reached Yen Kai's body. Yen Kai had already cultivated the power of Tai Chi to every part of his body. Other people usually had a protective aura around their body, but the power of Tai Chi that Yen Kai cultivated was different. His protective true Chi could deflect all attacks that got close to him. Yen Kai was the only one who could comprehend this move. The other young disciples of Wudong sect could not comprehend such a powerful protective technique. Why else would they say that Yen Kai was a genius disciple? The Brocade clan guard was shocked when he saw his goose feather blade was tilted to the side, as if it had chopped into a wall of wind. Go back and practice some more, Yen Kai said, and his shoulder hit the chest of the Brocade clan guard. Bang! The Brocade clan guard's body was immediately sent flying, and he crashed into the car behind him, and then bounced off to the side. If he did not have protective aura, he would definitely be bleeding on the spot. In the blink of an eye, only 2 Brocade clan guards were left standing on the roof of the car. But another 2 Brocade clan guards climbed out of the Toyota and joined the attack. Yen Kai understood that if he wanted to deal with these people, he had to use some special skills. He grabbed the air in the direction of the car next to him, and then pulled it towards him. The Toyota was immediately pulled by his true energy, and it slid, directly crashing into the car below Yen Kai. The 2 Toyotas immediately rolled and fell to the side of the road. Yen Kai somersaulted in the air and landed on the roof of the other Toyota. He smashed the front windshield with his palm, and then threw the driver out. The car suddenly went out of control, and suddenly rushed out of the road, crashing to the side. At this time, the last car fiercely crashed into the van, as if it was determined to perish together with the van. Yen Kai's feet bounced on the ground, and he caught up with the last Toyota. Then he pulled out his belt, and with the belt transformed into a sword, he slashed at the car. The true energy on the Tai Chi sword pulled the Toyota, and it flew up, crashing into the big tree next to it with a bang. For a moment, it was stuck to the tree trunk, and stayed there for more than a second. After a second, the car fell to the ground. Yen Kai leaped up and stepped on the crescent moon blade that Guan Wenbao handed out, and lightly landed back into the van. Piece of cake. Yen Kai returned to the car, and pointed 2 fingers at Li Fan. This little bit of manpower is not enough for this Dao master to toy with. We're almost at the tunnel. Bai Lin Luo reminded. Looking at the Toyotas that were far behind them, Li Fan ordered, "Old Guan, you come back as well. We're going to the lounge." Guan Wenbao nodded, and returned to the car. Seeing this scene, Yin Xiaoru seemed to have some confidence in her heart. This team seems to have some strength. The 50,000 yuan seems to have not been spent in vain. Bai Lin Luo suddenly started counting down. The 1-minute countdown caused Yin Xiaoru to not understand what was going on. Chapter 236. But after a minute she understood. The van began to slow down as it entered a tunnel. There was also a truck slowing down in the tunnel. As the van entered, Li Fan jumped out of the van and landed behind the truck's huge trunk. He opened the trunk and let out a metal plate, dragging it on the ground. The van suddenly sped up and rushed into the trunk along the metal plate. Li Fan quickly put away the metal plate, closed the trunk door, and returned to the van. It was dark in the trunk. Huang Lei turned on the headlights, and everyone regained their sight. Done. Bai Lin Luo saw the GPS light up outside the tunnel and took off his headphones in relief. No one knows where we are from now on. Yin Xiaoru was shocked by Bai Lin Luo's brain. He actually thought of such a method. The embroidered uniform guards would definitely not discover that their target had already disappeared from their surveillance without anyone noticing. Who would have thought that Li Fan and the others would hide in the trunk of a truck? Miss Yin, the cost of hiring a large trailer is very high. Li Fan smiled at Yin Xiaoru, but since you are our first client, I will help you pay for it. This is the purpose of our escort agency. What do you think, Miss Yin? Are you touched? Touched to death. Yin Xiaoru rolled her eyes. Although this escort agency was reliable, the escorts were too shameless. Now we can enjoy our picnic. Bai Lin Luo chuckled and took out some ham sausages from his bag. I'm not hungry, I can't eat ham sausages. Li Fan refused, but Yen Kai was very domineering. I am the favored son of heaven, how can I eat this kind of junk food? Do you guys have any melon seeds? Give me some. The few of them were really bored. Only Guan Wenbao got out of the van and stood guard at the back of the van with his Yenyue blade. Li Fan told him to rest, but he didn't listen. Bai Lin Luo took out a deck of cards and started playing landlord with Li Fan and Huang Lei. Yen Kai didn't know much about poker, so he just sat there and watched them play. Sigh, it would be great if you had mahjong. Yen Kai sighed. Bai Lin Luo immediately said, yes, I brought it. With that said, Bai Lin Luo really took out a set of mahjong tiles from his bag. Then he opened the mahjong box, and it turned out to be a small table. The van was quite spacious. The 4 of them sat around the table and started playing the healthy national puzzle game. Yin Xiaoru was speechless. These people were really playing mahjong. I'm drunk, I'm really drunk. Are they really bodyguards? Escort Li, isn't it a little inappropriate for you to play like this? Yin Xiaoru finally couldn't take it anymore. She felt like her temple was about to explode. It's pretty good. It can pass the time and train the brain. It's really interesting. Li Fan rubbed the mahjong tiles and said casually, why don't Miss Yin play a few rounds as well? If you win, it's on you, and if you lose, it's on me. Only a ghost would want to play. Moreover, you're a high school student. Why are you playing mahjong? If not mahjong, what should we play? Do you want to hit planes? You're unreasonable. Yin Xiaoru was furious. This person's words were so vulgar. What kind of sport is hitting planes? Yen Kai didn't know about this joke and couldn't help but ask. It's a sport that trains the hands. Bai Lin Luo said with a straight face. Oh. Is it similar to the iron palm in martial arts? Yen Kai suddenly realized, I don't like the iron palm. My hands are full of calluses from practicing it. Isn't that so? Li Fan couldn't help but laugh. This kind of sport is really taxing on the hands. I suggest you do it less. Is this martial art very powerful? Guan Wenbao couldn't help but ask, compared to my saber technique, which is better? This martial art is called Five Dragons Embracing Pillar. When this martial art is practiced to the extreme, it can be cultivated into a unique Qilin arm. Li Fan said in a serious manner. It's so powerful. Can I practice it? Yes. Every man can. That's enough. Yin Xiaoru had had enough. These people didn't have any moral integrity. So, Miss Yin, you don't have to worry. Li Fan continued, since I promised to deliver you safely, I'll do it even if I have to sacrifice my life. As for other things, you don't have to worry about it. You guys are really not professional at all. Yin Xiaoru was on the verge of collapse. This isn't how an escort should act. Our escort agency has its own way. Li Fan emphasized, everyone likes to do things in their own way. Don't we have a traditional escort? Look, he's standing behind the car. As a descendant of the Guan family, he's responsible. Seeing Guan Wenbao, Yin Xiaoru was more or less pleased. He's different from you guys who act recklessly. Then she shouted outside, Young hero Guan, why don't you come in and take a rest? Aren't you tired standing outside? Guan Wenbao didn't respond. Young hero Guan? Yin Xiaoru shouted again, Young hero Guan? Yen Kai glanced at her and said, Don't shout. He's asleep. Yin Xiaoru was speechless. This was the first time she saw an escort agency like this. Maybe he slept late last night. Li Fan muttered, This guy, every time he practices martial arts, he practices until midnight. He's too hardworking. Does practicing martial arts need that much time? Yen Kai punched a red middle and said, I think it's very casual. That means you're talented. Li Fan reminded Yen Kai, Old Guan is different. He doesn't have any talent, so he works hard. As the saying goes, diligence makes up for stupidity. Old Guan's diligence made him a martial artist. You're talented but you don't practice. In the end you're suppressed by him. How can you be so vulgar? Fuck off. You're not qualified to talk to me. Li Fan fiercely rolled his eyes at Yen Kai, but Yin Xiaoru could not take it anymore. She was extremely nervous right now. Although she was already hiding in the boxcar, she still felt uneasy in her heart. After all, the enemy she had to face was too terrifying, and her teammates were too funny. Damn it. When Huang Lei won 6 times in a row, Li Fan couldn't sit still anymore. Don't tell me you're cheating? I swear to God, brother. Huang Lei pretended to be sad, but he was laughing inside. I didn't cheat. You don't play often. How can you compare with me, an idler in society? Brother, military counselors are doing big things. I'm just a hooligan. I play mahjong when I have nothing to do. Hearing Huang Lei's words, Li Fan felt better. Just when Li Fan tried to get the money back, the truck suddenly stopped. Chapter 237. What's the matter? Bai Lin Luo immediately asked through the walkie-talkie. Boss, the road ahead is blocked. The truck driver replied, It seems like there's a hit and run. Road blocked? Li Fan and Yin Xiaoru looked at each other, feeling a little uneasy. Could it be a normal roadblock? If it was in the past, this kind of thing would never attract their attention. But today was different. This day was too special and sensitive. Guan Wenbao suddenly woke up, opened his eyes, and clenched his crescent blade. Stop the car? Although he was resting, he was in a state of pretending to sleep. Once there was any movement, he would immediately wake up. Looks like we have to change to walking for the time being. Li Fan gestured to Guan Wenbao. Next, it's up to you guys. Bai Lin Luo continued to stay here, execute Plan B. Long before they set off, Bai Lin Luo had already planned everything, including deducing all the things that would happen. This matter was not out of Bai Lin Luo's expectation. Missine, come with me. Li Fan glanced at Yin Xiaoru. Don't you know how to disguise yourself? can you disguise yourself as him? Li Fan pointed at Bai Lin Luo. Do you think I'm a god? I can change my face. Yin Xiaoru rolled her eyes. Then what if I take a step back and disguise myself as a man? That's possible. Yin Xiaoru said, walked into the car, and no one knew what she was busy with. After a while, when she walked out of the car, she had already disguised herself as an ordinary young man. Is this okay? Yes. Li Fan nodded. Then I'll have to trouble Miss Yin to follow me. The rest of you will go together. Leave the things with us, and then can Miss Yin do another disguise for me? No, I can change it a little. Yin Xiaoru didn't have a suitable mask for Li Fan, but she was the thousand-faced bandit flying cat after all. She took out her makeup bag, and in less than 10 minutes, she had slightly altered Li Fan's appearance. If one didn't look closely, they wouldn't be able to tell that it was a person. As for Li Fan, he also took a deep breath. Then, his body cracked a few times and his bones emitted bursting sounds. Not long after, his figure expanded to a height of more than 1.8 meters, which made Yin Xiaoru very surprised. Alien bone swap. Good eyesight. Li Fan nodded, as expected of the famous thousand-faced bandit. This way it would be much more stable. Old Guan, take the darts and go to the mainland. Miss Yin and I took the small path. Miss Yin, from now on, you're called Yin Air and I'm Li Si. Why am I second? You're Li Air and I mean Si. Yin Xiaoru was unhappy, but Li Fan persuaded her, Miss Yin, this is all for the sake of the escort. Everyone should make appropriate sacrifices, right? Then why don't you sacrifice yourself and let me sacrifice myself? Because you're a lady. Ladies first. Go to hell. Yin Xiaoru really hated this Li Fan. Although the two of them were collaborators, he never did what she wanted. It was as if she was the employer. How could an employee not listen to the employer? What's more, this person had actually caught her once. This was very hard for the bandit Yin Xiaoru to accept. I don't want to sacrifice myself. I want to sacrifice you. Woman, you're really unreasonable. Li Fan sighed. As a magnanimous man, I'll sacrifice a little. I'm Li San and you're Yin Si. Yin Xiaoru suddenly didn't want to speak. Okay. Now, let's split into two. Li Fan clapped his hands, and the escort's plan B officially began. Flying Flower Town was not big. It was a somewhat remote town. There was only a dirt road leading to Flying Flower Town. Right now, there were a few cars on this road that had collided with each other, causing the cars behind them to be unable to move an inch. Guan Wenbao, Yan Kai and the others escorted a fake box as they followed the dirt road towards Flying Flower Town. As for Li Fan and Yin Xiaoru, they took advantage of the night to sneak out of the carriage and entered a forest. This was a path that Bai Lin Luo had found. They walked directly through the wilderness and crossed 2 mountains to enter the Flying Flower Town. However, this place was a bit far to walk. Li Fan and Yin Xiaoru had to conceal themselves, so they couldn't use Qing Gong to advance. They could only choose to walk in a low profile. So many insects. Yin Xiaoru frowned. This kind of slow walking method was not in line with her habits, especially since there were a lot of mosquitoes here. It made a girl like her feel very uncomfortable. You'll get used to it. It's just a few mosquitoes. Li Fan, on the other hand, was leisurely walking in the wilderness under the night sky. The two of them had night vision, and with the help of the moonlight, it wasn't difficult for them to walk. Under the moonlight, the scenery in the mountains was indeed very beautiful. It was something that Li Fan, who grew up in the city, had never experienced before. All of this was a bit novel to him. Furthermore, it was already late autumn, but there was still a vast expanse of green in the mountains. It seemed that for this place, autumn and winter always came so late. Everything was full of vitality. Your grandpa, you've applied insect repellent, of course you're fine. Yin Xiaoru said angrily. Pay attention to your manners. Li Fan reminded Yin Xiaoru, you're a virtuous lady. This grandaunt has never been a virtuous lady. Yin Xiaoru snorted, then said, people of the Jianghu don't need to be so particular. Yin Si, I have a question that I've always wanted to ask you. Li Fan raised his own question. There are so many heroes in the Jianghu, Why do you like to be a thief? Pay attention to your words. Li San. Yin Xiaoru reminded Li Fan. I'm a chivalrous thief, not a thief. Please don't confuse me, and please respect my profession. What's the difference? Aren't we both stealing? Li Fan felt that Yin Xiaoru was raising him up. Of course it's different. Yin Xiaoru looked at Li Fan uncomfortably. This guy doesn't understand the Jianghu at all. How did he catch me this time? This is too shameful. First of all, a thief steals for himself. Yin Xiaoru raised a finger and said, but a chivalrous thief steals for others. Then what do you rely on to survive? Working. Yin Xiaoru said frankly, when I'm not a chivalrous thief, I work part-time to study. You still go to school? Nonsense, this grand aunt is still in college. Yin Xiaoru rolled her eyes at Li Fan. Those who don't go to school are called illiterate. Yes, I'm a cultured thief. Chivalrous thief. Whatever. Then let me ask you another question. Li Fan threw out a question that made Yin Xiaoru stunned. What standard do you use to determine if stealing is good or evil? Chapter 238. Although she knew that Li Fan was a difficult person to deal with, Yin Xiaoru did not expect that he would actually ask such a question. This question really made Yin Xiaoru stunned. She originally looked forward to being a hero thief, stealing for the sake of other people's happiness. What a great career it was. In short, there are a lot of poor people who applaud and praise me. Yin Xiaoru thought for a long time, but did not know how to answer Li Fan, so she could only say, I brought them hope to live. Star of the poor? You seem to have an opinion. I don't have an opinion, but I feel that this is not good. Li Fan said very frankly, good and evil, this kind of thing should not be decided by you alone. TSK, what do you know? How can a sparrow and a swallow understand the ambition of a swan? Yin Xiaoru ridiculed Li Fan. You are such a selfish profiteer. How can you understand the joy of doing good? What about you? Why do you want to be an escort? For money, for fame. Li Fan did not have any intention to hide. I am not willing to be an ordinary youth. I want to become a rich man, and I want my name to spread throughout the pugilistic world. In the future, when people mention my name, Li Fan, they will either give me a thumbs up, or be scared half to death. Vulgar ideals. Sure enough, we are not the same kind of people. Yin Xiaoru said with disgust, but you are the kind of person I hate the most. But you have to ask an annoying person like me for help. Li Fan laughed. Yin Si, just accept your fate, you are actually no different from me. Nonsense, my awareness is very high. Yin Xiaoru did not want to be grouped with Li Fan. My biggest wish is to eliminate poverty in this world, so that everyone can live a happy life. Idealist. You are too selfish. Li Fan shrugged his shoulders. All right, then, the selfless Mr. Yin Si, do you want some insect repellent? Of course. These little bugs are so annoying. But the selfish me won't give it to you. Li Fan chuckled and waved a small bottle in his hand. 100 yuan per bottle, cash only. Profiteer. Shameless. Despicable. Yin Xiaoru was so angry that she cursed out loud. She wished that she could throw all the filthiest words in the world at Li Fan. What kind of escort leader is this guy? I must be blind to ask him to escort the goods. Once this mission is completed, I will never see him again. Just looking at him gave him a headache. Oh right, before I leave, I have to steal that 50,000 yuan back. I won't let him earn my money for nothing. He didn't even put in any effort. Yin Xiaoru secretly made a decision in her heart, while Li Fan said slowly beside her. Yin Si, are you thinking of stealing the 50,000 yuan back? Of course not. Yin Xiaoru was taken aback. Is this fellow a roundworm in my stomach? Don't even think about it. I admit that your stealing skills are very good, but if you want to steal from me, it's as difficult as ascending to heaven. Li Fan chuckled. You better think about this bottle of insect repellent. Do you want to buy it or not? Are you talking about this? Yin Xiaoru was holding the small bottle in Li Fan's hand, which made Li Fan shocked. When did you take it? This is called taking something out of one's pocket. It's just a small trick. Yin Xiaoru was very proud. You want to fight with this grandaunt? You're still too inexperienced. Really? The corner of Li Fan's mouth curled up slightly, then he snapped his fingers. Yin Xiaoru's vision blurred. Li Fan's figure actually disappeared in front of her. What's going on? Why did this person suddenly disappear? Did he see a ghost? In the blink of an eye, Li Fan had already returned to his original position. He lightly tossed the small bottle of insect repellent in the air. Are you looking for me, or are you looking for it? Yin Xiaoru's delicate body trembled. Someone actually stole something from me. I am the thousand-faced bandit, Flying Cat. How can I lose to this unscrupulous profiteer? Ever since she was 12 years old, she had already stepped into the pugilistic world, pitting wits and courage against these unscrupulous profiteers. She had never failed before. Yin Xiaoru suddenly threw out a thin silk thread. The end of the silk thread was connected to a small sticky claw. This was Yin Xiaoru's thieving artifact. This trick of hers was almost 100% accurate. It was tried and tested. But what Yin Xiaoru did not expect was that Li Fan was a weirdo. Previously, because Yin Xiaoru's attack was too unexpected, Li Fan did not notice it. But now that he had his guard up, it would be hard for Yin Xiaoru to succeed. Yin Xiaoru's action was greatly slowed down in Li Fan's eyes. He could see a sticky claw swinging towards the insect repellent in his hand. Since he saw it, then it's useless. Li Fan's right hand held the bottle as his left hand shot out like lightning. Great sage star plucking. This move of Li Fan's is very powerful. He easily pinched Yin Xiaoru's sticky claw between his fingers. Yin Si, you are already such an adult. Why do you still like to play with children's toys? You! Yin Xiaoru was flustered and exasperated. She had actually failed several times on Li Fan. This made her very irritated. Looking at Li Fan's proud face, she really wanted to go up and bite him. Since you don't want to buy it, then I will keep it. Li Fan placed the insect repellent back into his pocket. Our kind and righteous Yin Si will properly feed the mosquitoes in this mountain. Are you still a man? Don't you know how to be a gentleman? Yin Xiaoru was angered half to death. I am a selfish profiteer. Li Fan said, I still have to thank brother Yin Si for your evaluation of me. Bastard! Yin Xiaoru was about to explode from anger. This loathsome fellow is too infuriating. It's getting late. Let's continue our journey. As Li Fan spoke, he turned around and walked towards the direction of Soaring Flower Town under the moonlight. Yin Xiaoru swung her sticky claw again and actually took out the insect repellent from Li Fan's pocket. She fiercely made a face at Li Fan from behind, then proudly rubbed the insect repellent on her body. At the same time, she muttered in her heart, do you think that just because you put it in your pocket, this grandaunt can't get it? Li Fan only continued to hurry on with a trace of a smile in his eyes. This little girl really doesn't want to admit defeat. There is no need for me to lower myself to a little girl's level. It's fine as long as she doesn't pester me. Although the mountain road was long, Li Fan and Yin Xiaoru were both martial artists. They did not know what exhaustion felt like. Finally, they arrived at Soaring Flower Town at the first glimmer of dawn. The usually quiet Soaring Flower Town was a bit different today. There were a few government officials wearing black clothes and black vests in the town, causing the townspeople to look around. Chapter 239. Li Fan and Yin Xiaoru were not in a hurry to find the owner of the Golden Buddha. Instead, the two of them sat down in the courtyard of a small restaurant in the town. It was a small courtyard with 3 tables inside. Apart from Li Fan and Yin Xiaoru, there were 3 townspeople sitting at one of the tables. Li Fan and Yin Xiaoru ordered a bowl of chicken soup and a bowl of scrambled eggs. After the boss served the dishes, Yin Xiaoru asked casually. Boss, why are there so many people dressed as government officials in this town? I'm not sure, but I heard that old Jin's family committed a crime. The boss was a 40-plus-year-old middle-aged woman. While wiping her greasy hands on her apron, she said, I heard that old Jin's family had a treasure that belongs to the country and must be handed over. These people seem to be from the government. They said that old Jean was secretly hiding a national treasure and was arrested by these people. Yin Xiaoru and Li Fan looked at each other. The two of them could see the doubt in each other's eyes. Has the genie guards lost their moral integrity? The owner of the Golden Buddha is innocent, but they would actually do such a thing to the owner? Yin Xiaoru seemed to be a little anxious. She wanted to stand up, but Li Fan pressed down on her shoulder. This time, Li Fan smiled and said to the boss, "Boss, why did such a big thing happen in town? I just came from another county to find my uncle. I'm so scared that I don't dare to go. This is quite scary. Whose family are you two nephews?" The boss seemed to be a little nosy. Li Fan secretly pinched Yin Xiaoru. Yin Xiaoru quickly said, "Old Zhao's family." Yo, old Zhao's family has such a spirited nephew. It's really rare. The Flying Flower town was not very big. Therefore, many of the townspeople were familiar with each other. "Boss, where did you find out that these people are from the government?" Li Fan asked. "Last time, when a few people from the government ate here, I secretly overheard their conversation." The boss lowered his voice and said, "I've already told you, don't tell anyone else." After that, she went to serve another table's dishes. Li Fan and Yin Xiaoru could vaguely hear their conversation. "Old Jin's family is in trouble. Don't tell anyone." Well, she had spilled the beans herself. This is a trap. Li Fan whispered in Yin Xiaoru's ear, "Old Jin should be fine, but I'm afraid that the Jin family has already set up an inescapable net, waiting for you to take the bait." "No, I'm worried." Yin Xiaoru seemed to have lost the calmness of a great thief at this time. "Mr. Jin is my benefactor, I can't just watch him get into trouble. Calm down. Think about the consequences if you go there rashly." Li Fan reminded Yin Xiaoru, "Even if you're caught, it won't help. But with you here, everything can still be discussed." "I can't sit still. Even so, we still have to sit still." Li Fan continued to remind Yin Xiaoru, "Let's wait for Guan Wenbao and the others to come. Don't forget our plan B." "How would I know what your plan B is? I don't like your lousy team at all. It's not ideal, not professional. I've had enough of you. Other than money, you don't care about anything else. I must have been blind to have found you." Yin Xiaoru stood up angrily and walked out of the yard. Li Fan quickly took out the money for the meal, put it on the table and chased after her. "Young man, coax your wife." The boss even kindly called out to him. Li Fan rolled his eyes and thought, "If I had such a worrisome wife, I would die of anger. In order to live a few more years, it's better to stay away from this girl. When this mission is over, I'll stay away from her." But when Li Fan left the yard, he was surprised to find that Yin Xiaoru was nowhere to be found. This stupid female cat burglar, relying on her qinggong, where did she go? Li Fan was really angered to death. How did this woman become a great thief? With her personality that couldn't hide things, how could she live until now? Stupid woman. Idiot. Stupid. Li Fan cursed. He probably knew where Yin Xiaoru had gone, so he asked the boss for the location of Mr. Jin's house. Then he went to Mr. Jin's house. At that time, Yin Xiaoru had already used qinggong and arrived at a big tree near Mr. Jin's house. Yin Xiaoru's body pressed against the highest branch. The branch was very soft, but Yin Xiaoru seemed to be weightless. She only swayed with the branch, but didn't break. Yin Xiaoru felt very uncomfortable. This Li Fan is too selfish and arrogant. How could such a person understand Mr. Jin's kindness to me? In his eyes, money is the most important thing. Since he doesn't want to come, I can save old Mr. Jin by myself. Yin Xiaoru looked at Mr. Jin's yard and found that there was no one there. The big yard was like a dead house, silent. The dust in the yard hadn't been cleaned for a long time, and the fallen leaves were all over the yard. It was so quiet that even the birds didn't want to stay. Yin Xiaoru's heart sank. Something really happened. She looked around and saw that there was no one around. Then she opened her arms and jumped down from the tree. Like a bird, she landed lightly on Mr. Jin's house. She turned over and landed in the yard again. She stepped on the fallen leaves, but they didn't make any sound. It could be seen that Yin Xiaoru's qinggong was excellent. No matter what, her kung fu was the result of real training. Yin Xiaoru landed in front of Mr. Jin's house. She leaned on the door and looked through the glass. Old Mr. Jin was lying on the bed, as if he was fast asleep. Yin Xiaoru looked around again, but there was no one else. It seemed that the news was fake and Mr. Jin was fine. No matter how powerful the genie guards were, they couldn't attack ordinary people. Since that was the case, it was time for her to fulfill her promise. Yin Xiaoru gently pushed open the window, and then jumped in from the window, landing silently in the room. She came and went like a breeze. She arrived in front of the Buddhist shrine and placed the golden Buddha on it respectfully. Seeing that the golden Buddha was back, Mr. Jin's illness should be mostly healed. Yin Xiaoru thought of Mr. Jin's kindness in the past and couldn't help but feel warm. She quietly walked to Mr. Jin's bed, wanting to see how her benefactor looked. But when she approached, Mr. Jin suddenly turned around and stared at Yin Xiaoru with a pair of eagle-like eyes, causing Yin Xiaoru to tremble. "You're not Mr. Jin. I'm the Death Reaper," he said fiercely. Chapter 240. Yin Xiaoru immediately turned around, stepped on the wind, and prepared to escape from the window. Li Fan was right, this was a trap. Damn it, why did she think of him at this time? Yin Xiaoru scolded herself, but her feet did not delay, and she quickly ran towards the window. But the old man pretending to be old Mr. Jin just sat up, waved his hand, and the window closed by itself. "Little kitty, you are too naughty." The old man had a hooked nose that Liao Wushuang liked, but he did not look handsome. Instead, he looked somewhat gloomy, and there was a kind of haze in his face. "This old man will capture you today, and let you understand the immensity of heaven and earth." "Old man, I will not let you capture me." Yin Xiaoru jumped and ran towards the door. But the old man waved his hand, and the large wardrobe next to him moved, and under the control of his true energy, the door was sealed. Yin Xiaoru had a feeling that she had entered a cage, and the lock of this cage was the old man in black clothes and silver vest in front of her. The Qianhu of the embroidered uniform guard. "The embroidered uniform guard is taking care of me. They actually sent a Qianhu." Yin Xiaoru's words carried a hint of ridicule. "Look at you, you can be considered an Edo senpai. What kind of ability is it to make a move on a junior?" "Hee hee, little kitty, don't try to use words to provoke this old man, it's useless." The old man stood there with his hands behind his back, and his gloomy eyes flowed with killing intent. This old man has always been cruel and merciless, whether you are a girl or a baby girl. As long as you are on the black list, this old man will definitely take your life. I, the flying cat, have never been afraid of anyone. If you want to catch me, you will have to train for another 10 years. As Yin Xiaoru said so, she used her eyes to look for a way to leave. "Little kitty, in the past, even your master had to hide when he saw this old man. You are very arrogant. Could it be that you are naturally more powerful than your master? You know my master?" Yin Xiaoru was shocked. Her master was a peerless thief, and many rich people in the past, when they heard her master's name, they all complained incessantly. He, of course. Flying Sky Cat, Jade Face Fox. Your names are quite similar. There seemed to be some nostalgia in the old man's eyes. What a pity. Your master was also a famous beauty in Jianghu. Even I fell in love with her when I saw her. Unfortunately, your master had eyes but failed to see and fell in love with someone he shouldn't have. He actually turned a blind eye to this old man's admiration. What a pity, what a pity. You are the Yin-faced impermanence Di Yao. Yin Xiaoru suddenly realized the identity of the person in front of her, and her eyes filled with anger. "It's you who ruined my master's peerless beauty. Of course, if I can't get it, I can't let it fall into the hands of others. You scum. To think that you're an embroidered uniform guard." As expected, none of the embroidered uniform guards are good people. These words are not for a petty thief like you to say. The Yin-face impermanence Diao sneered. "Once I capture you and that golden Buddha statue, this old master will be promoted to commander. Even if I die, I won't let you have your way." Yin Xiaoru had just finished cursing when she suddenly thought of something else. "The owner of this house, what did you do to him? That old man can't hold on any longer. So this old master did a good deed and helped him enjoy his bliss. Yin Xiaoru was furious. This Di Yao, he deserved to die. Instead of retreating, Yin Xiaoru rushed forward and rushed towards Di Yao. At the same time, she secretly held a tiger claw knife in her hand, preparing to stab this sharp weapon into Di Yao's neck. But Di Yao didn't care at all, allowing Yin Xiaoru to reach him. At the same time, he raised his right hand and pinched Yin Xiaoru's tiger claw knife with 3 fingers. Ding. The tiger claw knife in Yin Xiaoru's hand was actually broken by Di Yao's 3 fingers. Pooh. At the same time, Di Yao's other hand pierced Yin Xiaoru's shoulder and grabbed her shoulder blade, causing Yin Xiaoru's vision to go black, and she lost the ability to resist and was forced to kneel in front of Di Yao. Showy but impractical. Di Yao sneered, with just this little bit of skill, you still have the nerve to oppose this old master? Di Yao had practiced his eagle claw skill for several dozen years and was extremely skilled. Ordinary people would find it difficult to resist. Don't worry, this old master won't kill you. This old master will use your life and that golden Buddha statue in exchange for supreme glory. Di Yao had already thought it over when Yin Xiaoru suddenly opened her eyes and spat out a silver needle from her mouth. Di Yao had been feeling proud of himself and had not expected this sudden needle to appear. With a puff, the silver needle pierced into his eye, causing Di Yao to roar in pain. He then raised his foot and kicked Yin Xiaoru's head, knocking her unconscious. Damn it! Damn it! Di Yao pulled out the silver needle from his eye, but it was now useless and bleeding profusely. When I send you back to the bright uniform guard, this old master will make you beg for death. Di Yao was extremely angry, but for the sake of his future, he had to endure this anger for the time being. If it weren't for the fact that he needed to report back, he would have already used his eagle claw skill to rip out this woman's heart, liver, and lungs and let her die without a complete corpse. Guards! He stopped the bleeding and moved the wardrobe away. At the same time, he roared loudly. Sir Thousand Households, what are your orders? Several little flags pushed open the door and knelt in front of Di Yao. Take this woman to the yard and hang her up for this old master. Di Yao snorted. Yes. The little flags dragged Yin Xiaoru away. Di Yao endured the pain and thought to himself. According to the intelligence he had gathered, the blacklists Li Fan and Yen Kai should be by this woman's side. He wanted to use this woman as bait to lure the two of them out. At that time, the great commander would definitely appreciate him and perhaps teach him the 9th layer of the small phaseless divine art. This small phaseless divine art was divided into 9 layers, each more powerful than the last. However, ordinary bright uniform guards could only cultivate up to the 6th layer, 1,000 households could cultivate up to the 7th layer, and commanders could cultivate up to the 8th layer. However, the legendary 9th layer could only be mastered by the great commander. If he could learn the 9th layer of the small phaseless divine art, how many people in this world would be his opponent? Thinking of this, he seemed to have forgotten his pain and grinned wickedly. Yin Xiaoru was awoken by the sun. As the saying goes, the autumn tiger was extremely cruel. It was already midday and the sunlight stung her face, making her feel like she was being roasted dry. Little kitty, you're awake? Di Yao sat opposite Yin Xiaoru, wearing an eye patch as he leisurely drank some Longjing tea. Behind him, a row of bright uniform guards stood there. There were little flags, general flags, and 200 households, all of them standing there motionlessly, seemingly ignoring the autumn heat. This style of yours really suits you, Yin Xiaoru said sarcastically. Even though you've lost an eye, you still look so kind. Chapter 241. Hee little kitty, don't try to provoke this old master again. Di Yao narrowed his single eye, one less eye in exchange for endless glory and wealth. It's a bargain. I'm afraid you'll be able to earn it but not spend it. Yin Xiaoru cursed again and again. People like you will soon go to hell. This old master already said, goading me is useless. Di Yao's eyes flashed with murderous intent. If you scold this old master now, this old master will remember it. When I return to the bright uniform guard's prison, I guarantee you'll beg for death. this old master will cut off your hands and feet, cut off your tongue, and then stick you in the ground, feed you every day, feed you water, and let you live in despair. What a cruel heart. You old man, if you have the guts, give this ant a quick death. Yin Xiaoru was scared and angry, her body couldn't help trembling slightly. When Yin Xiaoru was a child, the thing she feared the most was sneaking out to play instead of cultivating, only to be discovered by her master. That kind of fear really made Yin Xiaoru feel like she was about to pee. But now, she was even more afraid. But even if she was afraid, she would not yield to this old man. Yin Xiaoru, don't be afraid, I will find a way to deal with this old man. If I can't think of a way, I'll just bite my tongue and commit suicide. I won't wait until I'm sent back to prison. However, old Mr. Jean and her master's enmity, who will she find to avenge them? This disciple is unfilial, I can't be filial to you, Yin Xiaoru wanted to cry, but she held back. Hehe, now is not the time to kill you. Di Yao took a sip of Longjing tea. This old master still has a use for you. I'm just a little thief, what's the use of keeping me? I can use you to fish out the other 2 wanted criminals on the blacklist. Di Yao said calmly, a few small fish and shrimp, the higher-ups actually gave you such a high evaluation, they really think too highly of you. Ha, in your dreams? Yin Xiaoru laughed. You want to use me to fish out Li Fan? Dream on, that selfish guy will never care about my life or death. What a stubborn little kitty. Di Yao slowly stood up, stretched out a finger, and pressed it against Yin Xiaoru's white cheek. I know you're not afraid of death, but are you afraid of being disfigured? You old pervert! Yin Xiaoru trembled again. She could feel the coldness of those fingers. Those who practiced the eagle claw would have fingers as hard as steel. This damned Di Yao, he had humiliated him again and again. Yin Xiaoru thought to herself, even if I die, I want to die beautifully. She made up her mind and was just about to bite her tongue to commit suicide, but at that moment, Di Yao's palm grabbed her chin and squeezed it, forcing her to open her mouth and spit out her tongue. Little kitty, this old man said that I won't let you die now. Looks like I should cut off your tongue first. Just as Di Yao finished speaking, the main door of the house was suddenly kicked open. The 2 doors flew up and crashed to the ground in front of Di Yao. I'm sorry, you've captured my client. Can you return him to me? Li Fan put his hands in his trouser pockets and stood outside the door with 1 foot raised. At this time, Li Fan still maintained his disguised appearance. His tall stature made Di Yao feel like he could only look up to him. Although Yin Xiaoru couldn't see Li Fan, she could still hear his unruly voice. She was a little surprised in her heart. This man, why did he come here? Didn't he take her money? Even if she was captured, it had nothing to do with him. Such a selfish man would actually come to this place to save her? Impossible, absolutely impossible. It's just a piece of cake. Di Yao looked at Li Fan and couldn't help but laugh. It was as if in his eyes, Li Fan was not a young boy, but a moving mountain of gold. This old man has been waiting for a long time. I'm sorry, I'm a little late. Li Fan put down his right foot. Can you return my distinguished client to me now? Are you Yan Kai or Li Fan? Di Yao did not recognize Li Fan's identity. Li Fan suddenly burst into laughter. You don't even know young master's name, how can you survive in Jianghu? Yo, you even poked an eye blind. Are you cosplaying as the Heartless Knife? Although she was caught, Yin Xiaoru couldn't help but laugh when she heard this. At this time, this guy could still joke so calmly. What a heartless guy. Glib tongue. Di Yao's heart was filled with murderous intent. In a moment, this old man will pull out your tongue. Tell me your name. Young master will never change his surname. Surname Li, given name Fan. Li Fan didn't want to play tricks like, I'm your father, only a fool would fall for it. What's more, he came out to Jianghu to make a name for himself. To be able to protect his employer from the hands of the Imperial Secret Service, this was the real deal. You're the little overlord Li Fan? Di Yao frowned, you don't look like me. Little overlord? Li Fan was puzzled. Wasn't this his name in school? How did it spread to Jianghu? But it sounded okay. so he decided to call him that for now. But why did it sound like a learning machine? He was faintly unhappy. Forget it, arrest them all and bring them back for interrogation. Diao thought that since he was going to arrest them anyway, he might as well arrest them all. I'm sorry, I'm here to take them back, not to send them off. Li Fan laughed. You may not understand human language, then I'll say it again, return my client, thank you. You're the one who doesn't understand the situation. Diao was provoked again and was about to go crazy. But he was, after all, experienced in Jianghu for so many years, so he endured it. Everyone here is my people, do you think you can escape alive? With just these few people, young master really doesn't put them in his eyes. Li Fan crooked his finger at Diao, looking at your clothes, your position isn't low, at least a flag commander, do you want to spar? Bullshit, this old master is a distinguished Qianhu. The Imperial Secret Service works for the government, how could they find such an ugly Qianhu? Li Fan sighed, how about young master sponsor you 8 or 10 yuan and you go to South Korea to get a makeover? You little beast full of nonsense. This old master will not tolerate you today. Diao finally became enraged and shouted, capture him. The surrounding Imperial Secret Service guards responded one after another. Then, 6 more flag commanders stepped forward and threw their hooked claws at Li Fan's body. However, Li Fan took a step forward and his whole body soared 3 meters into the air, avoiding the surrounding hooks and claws, and directly rushing towards Diao, the Imperial Secret Service 1,000 households. Chapter 242. How dare you? Don't even think about it. 2 genie guards jumped up from the side and raised their palms at the same time, slapping towards Li Fan. Both of their palm techniques were quite sharp, and they were prepared to intercept this arrogant Li Fan in the air. But Li Fan only laughed twice, circulating his true qi in both his hands. Black Bear slams. Bang bang. The 2 genie guards left as quickly as they came. Their bodies flew out like broken kites, smashing through the glass at the side and falling into the room behind. As for Li Fan, because of the impact, his body also stopped in the air and fell to the ground. The 6 genie guards once again threw out their claws, grabbing towards Li Fan from all directions. Even the air was blocked, so that Li Fan had nowhere to escape. But Li Fan did not jump up. Instead, he stuck to the ground and used the black toad technique, quickly rushing towards Diao. Even if he was surrounded by thousands of soldiers, Li Fan could take the head of a general as easily as taking something out of his pocket. Childish. Diao coldly snorted, and the 2 genie guards finally moved. The 2 of them were like door gods, suddenly appearing in front of Li Fan, blocking his path. The 2 of them pulled out their goose feather sabers at the same time, one aiming at Li Fan's head, and the other at Li Fan's lower 3 parts. These 2 genie guards' saber techniques were excellent, but Li Fan only somersaulted in the air and kicked out with both feet. Ding, ding. Li Fan used his deer kick twice. Wrapped in his true qi, he kicked the 2 men's sabers, kicking their goose feather sabers away. At the same time, Li Fan landed on the back of one of the genie guards. Spirit monkey kill. This was Li Fan's ultimate move. He grabbed the genie guard's head with both hands, and as long as he moved his palms, the genie guard's head would be broken. However, Li Fan hesitated the moment he was about to make his move. After all, he was only a high school student. Although he was enemies with the embroidered uniform guards, he didn't hate them as much as he hated the old man Yamada. This Baihu was just a lackey. There was no need to take his life. Thinking of this, Li Fan couldn't help but feel a little soft-hearted. He prepared to change his move. But at this time, the Baihu behind him suddenly raised his knife and slashed at Li Fan's back, leaving a long wound on Li Fan's back. If not for Li Fan's true qi protecting his body, he would have lost his life. Diao also took action. Diao's hand reached out to grab Li Fan's head, but Li Fan quickly dodged Diao's attack. However, Diao's killing move came later. He broke the embroidered uniform guard's leg, causing him to kneel on the ground in pain, causing Li Fan's body to also fall to the ground. At the same time, Diao's other hand moved up and down towards Li Fan, as if tearing the air apart. Li Fan finally let go of the crippled embroidered uniform guard, opened his arms and flew backwards, dodging Di Yao's killing move. But the other Baihu had already caught up, and the goose feather knife in his hand slashed towards Li Fan, who had not yet landed. But as Li Fan was falling, he suddenly stretched out his hands and grabbed the Baihu's wrist, like an iron clamp, locking his wrist. White deer reverse kick. Li Fan kicked again, and this time his foot hit the Baihu's chest, forcing him to take a few steps back and kneel on the ground, blood flowing from his 7 orifices. The minor phaseless divine art of these Baihu was no longer able to completely compete with Li Fan's true chi. Li Fan could also see that these embroidered uniform guards should not be regarded as people at all. Each and every one of them was a killing machine, completely devoid of humanity. Li Fan stopped the blood flowing from his back and stared at Di Yao, gasping for breath. Yin Xiaoru looked at the wound on Li Fan's back, a shocking sight to behold. This selfish guy, he really put in so much effort for his own sake? You're bleeding, Yin Xiaoru couldn't help saying. It's just a small wound, what's there to complain about? Li Fan didn't even look back as he scolded. Young master has been in a bad mood recently, letting out some blood would make him feel better. Seems you've got some backbone. Di Yao said, maybe 10 years from now, you'll be a big shot. Unfortunately, you'll die at this old master's hands today. Nonsense, you've reincarnated into the wrong body, idiot. You should have been a woman. I was wrong before, you shouldn't have gone to Korea, you should have gone to Thailand, chopped off your head and replaced it with 2 big breasts. Death is at hand, yet you're still so stubborn. Di Yao circulated his true chi on his hands. This old master will break your tongue first. With that, he took a step forward and aimed his eagle claws at Li Fan's mouth. But Li Fan suddenly stretched out his hands and directly locked Di Yao's wrist. Dear lock. At the same time, Li Fan's foot went straight to Di Yao's calf, trying to kick this guy into a cripple. Pumph. Di Yao's minor phaseless divine art was cultivated in a different direction, so his defense was a bit weaker, unable to block Li Fan's full-strength kick. But Di Yao's kick came at the same time, and the 2 men's calves collided with a loud bang as their true chi exploded. At the same time, Di Yao's other hand grabbed Li Fan's neck. The biggest weakness of Li Fan's deer lock was that he had to use both hands to clamp down on the opponent's hand. If Li Fan couldn't kick the enemy, then the opponent would have enough time and opportunity to counterattack. However, Li Fan was already prepared for this. With a loud shout, he sent out a fierce tiger roar, stunning Di Yao for half a second. At the same time, he seized the opportunity to grab Di Yao's arm, twist his body, and execute a beautiful shoulder throw, throwing Di Yao to the ground. Bang! Di Yao's body hit the ground, splashing up a large number of leaves. But Di Yao was still a master, so his eagle claws reached out and his fingers pierced Li Fan's calf, even pinching Li Fan's calf bone. Li Fan's vision went black. The pain was not light. But he endured it, raised his other foot, and stomped down fiercely towards Di Yao. Di Yao's body slid down like a maggot, causing Li Fan's foot to slam into the ground, leaving a deep footprint. Di Yao's body was injured in 2 places and there were 5 finger-thick bloody holes in his calf, causing him to tremble slightly. Li Fan tried to stop the blood from flowing from his calf, but because he had lost too much blood, his vision was slightly dark. Damn it all, today I really will die here. This old thing's character isn't very good, but his martial arts are actually brilliant. His eagle claw skill could be said to have reached the acme of perfection. Do you know the gap between you and me? Di Yao stood up and said coldly, in this old master's eyes, you're nothing more than prey trying to struggle. But just as his voice fell, 6 eagle claws flew over, pierced into Li Fan's skin, and latched onto his body, locking him in place. And your good days are over. Chapter 243. Those hooked claws dug deep into Li Fan's bones, causing him to feel a terrible pain whenever he moved. Di Yao stood in front of him with a triumphant smile on his face. Even if you're monkey son, you can't escape from this old master's grasp. What's more, you're not as capable as Monkey Sunday. I was wrong, let me go. Li Fan seemed to be in a lot of pain, his head hung low, motionless, as if he had been tamed. Yin Xiaoru couldn't blame Li Fan. For her sake, he had indeed suffered too much. It wasn't easy for an escort leader he didn't know to do so much for him. Even if Li Fan surrendered, admitted defeat, or begged for mercy, Yin Xiaoru wouldn't be able to get angry. Especially when she saw the shocking wounds on his body, Yin Xiaoru couldn't get angry. It seems your bones aren't that hard after all. Di Yao sneered, approaching Li Fan, grabbing Li Fan's hair with one hand, pulling his head up. This is the price for opposing the bright gown guard. Di Yao's brows suddenly twitched, because Li Fan had raised his head and was grinning. Army. He let out a loud roar, and his body suddenly swelled up. The bones in his body made cracking sounds, and he forcibly broke the hooks that were locking him down. At the same time, Li Fan's hands directly grabbed Di Yao's shoulders, like an iron hoop, instantly breaking Di Yao's shoulder blades, causing Di Yao to howl in pain. You want to make the young master surrender? Dream on. Li Fan grabbed Di Yao's body with both hands, as if he was holding a chicken, and slammed his head into the ground. Father Bear Pile Driver. Li Fan grabbed Di Yao's head and slammed it into the ground 7 times. Even if Di Yao had true qi protecting his body, after these 7 hits, he was still badly mutilated. Even if he didn't die, he would still be seriously injured. Bear King raises the cauldron. Li Fan then lifted the unconscious Di Yao over his head, and in front of the shocked eyes of the embroidered uniform guards, he forcibly broke both of Di Yao's arms. In this way, Di Yao's entire body was equivalent to being crippled. The distant dream of becoming a commander had also completely slipped away from his world. Who else? Li Fan casually threw Di Yao's body aside, not caring whether he lived or died. This kind of scum, even in death, would stink. The muscles on Li Fan's body tightened, compressing the wound and stopping the bleeding. However, he was already dyed in blood. He stood there, looking down on the crowd as he spoke arrogantly. I am Li Fan. I am the little tyrant. Who among you embroidered uniform guards dares to be my enemy? Li Fan's voice was like a great bell, intimidating the embroidered uniform guards so much that none of them dared to step forward. Even Yin Xiaoru was shocked. Li Fan's performance was beyond her expectations. She thought that Li Fan had been beaten into submission, but she didn't expect him to retreat in order to advance, pretending to surrender to deceive Di Yao, and then decisively deal with him, crippling his biggest threat. As a result, the remaining embroidered uniform guards did not dare to step forward. If there's no one, I'll take my client and leave. Li Fan stretched out his hand, broke the chain on Yin Xiaoru's body, and then carried the weak flying cat thief on his shoulder. This feeling of shame made Yin Xiaoru feel as if she was a sack. He looked around and said to the surrounding embroidered uniform guards, "Remember, from now on, no one is allowed to touch my Li Fan's client. Whoever dares will end up like this guy." He pointed to Di Yao, whose life or death was unknown, and said loudly, "Idiot, don't forget the golden Buddha statues." Yin Xiaoru patted Li Fan's back twice and said, Li Fan saw the golden Buddha statue on the table next to him and waved his hand, sucking it into his palm. The remaining embroidered uniform guards did not dare to attack, all of them surrounding Li Fan, as if they were facing a great enemy. Li Fan, catch one of the embroidered uniform guards, I want to question him. Yin Xiaoru said to Li Fan, "Client, you really have a lot of demands, I'll have to pay you more." "Hurry up," Yin Xiaoru said anxiously. Li Fan took a step forward, scaring the embroidered uniform guards in front of him. "A bunch of cowards, why are you running?" Li Fan stretched out his hand and said to one of the flag commanders, I want to ask you something. As a great embroidered uniform guard, I will never give in." Li Fan kicked a goose feather saber that had fallen to the ground. The goose feather saber flashed with a white light and instantly brushed past Zhong Qi's ear. With a clang, it slashed into the door frame behind him. "No, but occasionally I should help solve people's problems. Ask him where old Mr. Jean is being held." Yin Xiaoru's eyes turned, indicating to Li Fan to ask. "My client asked where old Mr. Jean is being held." "No, he's not being held. We sent him to the city to see a doctor. He'll be back in a few days." Yin Xiaoru breathed a sigh of relief. Sure enough, that damn pervert Diao was lying to her. Even the embroidered uniform guards do not have the power to kill ordinary people. If they want to casually attack an ordinary person, then they are not a butler, but a bandit. Okay, let's go. Li Fan also endured the pain in his body. Originally, it was just an escort, but he did not expect that in the end, it would turn into a prison break. This 50,000 yuan, it was too much of a loss. If not for Li Fan's tyrannical body, with these injuries, he would have already died. Stop. None of you are allowed to leave. The highest-ranking official here is a lame Baihu. He knelt there with a knife and roared at Li Fan. Hee, interesting, I want to see who dares to stop me. Li Fan carried Yin Xiaoru and walked out of the door. Those embroidered uniform guards kept retreating, not daring to touch Li Fan's bad luck. How is this the little overlord of the blacklist? He is clearly a fiendish monster. That lame Baihu knew that from now on, in this Jianghu, Li Fan's name will be known. Li Fan, do you think you can escape? That Baihu said, even if you become a character in the future, I'm afraid you will die here today. This flying flower town has already been set up by our embroidered uniform guards. Although we have defeated D, there are still more embroidered uniform guards waiting for you. You are talking about those embroidered uniform guards outside the door? Guan Wenbao and Yen Kai walked in from the door. Between the two of them, one was carrying a crescent moon saber. The saber was stained with dark red blood. The other was carrying an unconscious embroidered uniform guard and threw him to the side. You want to take down our Fiefan Express with just these few people? You are really too weak. Guan Wenbao raised his crescent moon saber horizontally, pointed at that Baihu and said, next time, remember to send more experts over. Li Fan's two subordinates have already dealt with the embroidered uniform guards outside. That Baihu is somewhat dumbfounded. He does not dare to believe his own eyes. Chapter 244. Even Yin Xiaoru felt the same. For the first time, she felt that the 50,000 yuan was worth it. She took back her words. This team was too reliable. Oh my god. Wait for me, damn it. Just as Yin Xiaoru was feeling moved, a limping figure ran in. Huang Lei's clothes were tattered, and there was a dagger in his butt. Damn it, you two are so mean. Don't you know I'm injured? Each and every one of them is running like a donkey. Huang Lei roared at Guan Wenbao and Yen Kai. Are we still brothers? Damn it, didn't you stab yourself? Yen Kai curled his lips. This is the first time I see someone stab himself with a dagger in his butt. Are you an idiot? What do you know? I'm just scaring them. Huang Lei said with a straight face. Moreover, we came out to fight. If I don't bleed, how can I face my big brother? Look at my big brother. He's about to be stabbed 3 times and 6 times. This is called a man's medal. You have a scar on your butt. Your sister's medal. Yen Kai rolled his eyes. Yours is hemorrhoids. Perverted. Guan Wenbao added another stab. Huang Lei couldn't take it anymore. You too, are you going to fight with me? Yin Xiaoru decided to take back her thoughts. This team was always a bunch of jokers. The car is coming soon, head escort. Guan Wenbao followed the rules set by Li Fan and didn't call him benefactor. Instead, he called him head escort. Li Fan felt that it was more pleasing to the ear. Okay, let's go. Li Fan carried Yin Xiaoru and walked out of the courtyard. The remaining genie guards didn't dare to make a move. After all, Guan Wenbao and Yen Kai were like 2 door gods, standing there. You guys really want to be enemies with the genie guards? The official knelt there, looking at the 2 gods standing in front of the courtyard. So what? Yen Kai laughed. Only now can there be passion in life. A real man should fight. Guan Wenbao said boldly with the crescent moon blade in his hand. The rest of the embroidered uniform guards didn't dare to make a sound. These experts who had reached the next level actually had such strong ambitions. Based on their temperament alone, these people gave off the feeling that they were heroes. The car is here. As soon as Li Fan and the others walked out of the yard, a familiar van stopped in front of them. Are you happy to see me again? Bai Lin Luo sat in the driver's seat and winked at Yin Xiaoru. You? When did you get your driver's license? Li Fan pondered for a moment and asked. I didn't take the test. I learned it from a truck driver before I came out. Bai Lin Luo smiled shyly. It's simple. It's not as hard as you say. Slow down. Li Fan felt that life was full of danger. Believe in my driving skills. Bai Lin Luo said as he took out a notebook from his pocket and carefully studied it. What are you looking at? Notes. I'm looking at how to start a fire. Now the embroidered uniform guards won't dare to look for us. After Yin Xiaoru was put in the car by Li Fan, she automatically ignored this funny team and said, if they want to continue to intercept us, they will have to find a new Qianhu. But the number of Qianhu in the embroidered uniform guards is already small, so it's hard to mobilize them. If they want to find another one, they won't be able to do it without 3 to 5 days. That's good. Our mission is considered completed. Although Li Fan said so, he didn't really relax. His body condition was not very good. If he relaxed, he would probably fall sick and need to recover for a period of time. He must bring Yin Xiaoru out of this flying flower town to complete the mission. Take a good rest. Yin Xiaoru said to Li Fan, thank you for this journey. That's right. Escort, take a rest. There's us here. When Yen Kai said that, one of his hands was still touching his belt. Li Fan ruled out his action of taking off his pants. He then leaned back on the chair and closed his eyes. He was practically hanging on to his last breath and had held on until now. Now that the car had been handed over to Huang Lei and they were on the highway again, he could finally relax and let out a sigh of relief. Li Fan's true qi automatically protected his body to prevent him from losing too much blood and dying. He had temporarily lost consciousness and was in a daze. His vision was pitch black. He slept for a long time. When Li Fan opened his eyes again, his innate qi had already recovered a lot, and the condition of his body was also a little better. Some of the shallow wounds had already begun to heal. The remaining bloody holes had been stitched up. Who stitched me up? Li Fan was a little surprised and couldn't help but ask. It was Miss Yin. Bai Lin Luo sat next to Li Fan, and beside him was a medical kit that he had prepared beforehand. Where is she? She got off the car. Bai Lin Luo said, she took the golden Buddha and said that she was going to find the owner of the golden Buddha. Well, our fate ends here. Li Fan actually felt a little reluctant to leave. However, the underworld was too big. He probably wouldn't have a chance to see her again. Big brother, do you think she's going to steal our 50,000 yuan? Huang Lei asked with some suspicion. Li Fan waved his hand. No, she's a thief. Although he had only been in contact with her for less than 2 days, Li Fan felt as if he understood Fei Tian Cat very well. Sigh, I should ask her for advice on Qinggong. If I can learn her Qinggong, my own Qinggong will probably improve as well. If I go with Big Brother, I can also get on the blacklist, right? Huang Lei asked with a smile. Don't make trouble. Li Fan gave him a blank look. You're teasing me. What if my wound cracks from laughing? Besides, do you think getting on the blacklist is a good thing? In the future, the genie guard will come to trouble you every day, you know? Do you think you can beat the genie guard? Forget it, I'll just be a henchman of Big Brother. Huang Lei thought of those troublesome genie guard and immediately felt his scalp tingle. Today I can beat that Qianhu by luck. Li Fan was also a little scared. His strength is really higher than mine. If I hadn't caught him off guard, I'm afraid you wouldn't be able to see me today. That Diao's strength is at least close to the peak. If not for his carelessness, Li Fan wouldn't have been able to defeat this guy with a belly full of evil tricks. My kung fu is still lacking, I need to go back and practice. Li Fan seriously reflected on himself. Just like Murong Ing said, the establishment of this escort agency was just a whim. But the underworld is dangerous and there are many masters. Today, a Qian who injured him like this. In the future, facing more masters, how should he deal with them? Chapter 245. By the time Li Fan returned home, it was already late at night the next day. As soon as he came back, he plunged into the cultivation room. Murong-ing was wearing a light blue nightgown, with a pair of long legs crossed, calmly sitting on the sofa, reading a famous book in her hands. Li Fan did not speak to her, and she also did not take the initiative to find Li Fan to chat. Tai Zhu, is he injured? After Li Fan entered the room, Murong-ing asked. At this time, Tai Zhu, who was dressed in night clothes, came out of nowhere and cupped his fists towards Murong-ing, replying to young miss, the son-in-law is indeed injured. However, the son-in-law still won, and even seriously injured the faced impermanence Diao. I'm afraid that this Diao won't make it, even if we find the best doctor, he would not be able to save him. That's because he deserves to die. Murong-ing flipped through the pages of the book and said, he actually dared to lay his hands on my, Murong-ying's, fiancé, he is simply tired of living. Then, what else do you want to report? That flying cat also left, her whereabouts are unknown. After all, Flying Cat is a professional thief. If she wanted to hide her whereabouts, it would be impossible for the bright gown guards to find her. Murong-ing continued, but she deliberately asked Li Fan to escort her, proving that she already knew that the bright gown guards were waiting for her in Flying Flower Town. This woman's schemes are very deep. Using my man as a thug for her, did she think that she was using him for free? Then what should we do next? Should we send some medicine to the son-in-law? He has a pure yang body, and his internal strength is also very pure. He can slowly recover on his own. Murong-ing stopped Tai Zhu. Moreover, I just glanced at him. Some of the serious wounds on his body have already been stitched up. It won't be a big problem. Tai Zhu said in his heart, obviously I care so much about the son-in-law. Why didn't I personally go and talk to him? This couple seem to be scheming every day. But you should make some medicinal cuisine and send it to him. Food is better than medicine. Understood, eldest Mississippi. Tai Zhu was a professional cook. She cleaned up, put on an apron, and was about to go to the kitchen to cook. Wait a minute. Murong-ing suddenly stopped her. Eldest miss, do you have any other orders? Why aren't you wearing pants? Seeing that Tai Zhu was only wearing an apron with his buttocks exposed, Murong-ing's face darkened. The books say that this is a dinner of love. Tai Zhu's serious look made Murong-ing feel like breaking down. Hurry up and put on your pants. All right. Tai Zhu seemed very reluctant to put on his pants. Murong-ing felt that she and Li Fan still had a long way to go. At this time, Li Fan was sitting in his room with his eyes closed in contemplation. This mission had allowed him to understand a lot, and he had also seen his own shortcomings. There were many experts in the Jianghu. If he wanted to make a name for himself, he really needed to be stronger. Otherwise, he could only be ruthlessly eliminated from the Jianghu. It was fine if he was eliminated, but it was very likely that he would lose his life. The Jianghu was too big and there were too many experts. If he wanted to have a place in this cruel Jianghu, he must continue to strengthen himself. Li Fan sat cross-legged in the training room and began to think about his martial arts. Right now, he had already comprehended 2 of the 7 Hero Fist's strong moves. One was the Bear Cavalry and the other was the Heaven-Swallowing Toad. The Heaven-Swallowing Toad was his killer move. Unless it was absolutely necessary, he would not use it. But he could try to comprehend the other animal's strong moves. But these were really something that could only be discovered by chance. He didn't know when he would have an epiphany. Li Fan recalled the Qian who he met today. The eagle claw that he used was very overbearing. He had true qi protecting his body, but the Qian who was able to easily tear it apart and attack his flesh. At the very least, he had practiced this martial art to the extreme. If he had such a claw attack, it would be great. It would definitely greatly enhance the power of his Tiger Strike technique. Li Fan suddenly had an idea. Why don't I train the power of my Tiger Strike technique? Thinking of this, he jumped and stood up. At the same time, his body entered the Tiger Strike technique stance. Li Fan's body was almost lying on the ground. Both of his hands were in the shape of a tiger's claws. There was only one thought left in his mind. A ferocious tiger. He completely imitated the posture of a ferocious tiger and jumped a few times on the ground. But Li Fan didn't know why, but he felt that he was missing something. What was the essence of a ferocious tiger? Li Fan turned his head and looked at the painting of a ferocious tiger descending the mountain hanging on the wall. The ferocious tiger carried an endless aura of a king and stood there proudly. Li Fan looked at the ferocious tiger's eyes. He didn't know who drew this ferocious tiger descending the mountain. It was very charming and was simply a stroke of genius. It was probably the work of a master. Li Fan stared at the ferocious tiger's eyes for a long time. He felt that the ferocious tiger seemed to be able to speak. All of a sudden, he understood something. Realization dawned on him. What was he lacking? It was this kind of domineering aura, this kind of endless prestige of a king. Li Fan suddenly laughed out loud. Then, he fiercely swung his claws at the wooden stake beside him. Bang! The wooden stake was directly torn apart by Li Fan's claws. Wood shavings flew everywhere. Li Fan stood there and let out a long roar. The entire bungalow trembled. Murong-ing, who was reading a book, was suddenly alarmed. She put down her book and looked in the direction of the training room. This roar actually faintly carried the aura of a king. It was truly shocking. If her father let out such a roar, Murong-ing wouldn't be surprised at all. Instead, she would feel that it was normal. After all, her father grew up in Murong's family. He had received an elite education since he was young. Moreover, his strength was absolutely strong. Back then, no one in the martial arts world disobeyed him. There was no doubt that such a person had the aura of a king. However, Li Fan was different. He was originally just an ordinary high school student. How did he comprehend this kind of emperor's aura? This was really hard to explain. It was really inconceivable. This Li Fan had given her too many surprises. Sometimes, she even felt that she was nurturing a monster. As for Li Fan, he pushed open the door of the training room in high spirits and happened to bump into Tai Zhu, who was walking over with medicinal cuisine. Son-in-law, please have some medicinal cuisine. Li Fan took the medicinal cuisine and returned to the room to eat. Murong-ing finally put down her book and decided to sleep in peace. Since he had already gone home, there was nothing for her to worry about. Why did she worry about him? He was just the father of her future child. Yes, it was because she considered that the child couldn't be without a father. That was why she protected him so much. Murong-ing, as the leader of the martial arts world, you can't subdue a man. No, she had to restore her authority as a wife and let Li Fan know who was the boss of the family. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.